We actually don't have echoing going on for the first time in the first 5 minutes. That was thanks to our friend Flargle over here. And I have to explain the name Flargle because it's people always ask me. He's not the original Flargle. This is like Flargle number 2. See, I like to give people titles almost, you know. And I don't know if it's an Asian thing, but when these Asian guys get high, they get really high sometimes, and they Flargle really bad. And the kid out there, the original Flargle, he lives out in Cali. He knows who he is. And he loves his name because he knows he's a Flargle. He's actually the Flargler. So he's even got more of a title. You're just Flargle. He's the Flargler. So he's actually got a person behind him. Anyway, that's just a little explanation of the Flargle. Because last week we completely Flargled on the intro.
Super Flargle.
Super Flargle.
Super Flargle.
I want to thank everybody that's, I've actually been quite surprised. In the last week, I've heard a bunch of people who've been listening to the show, so there are listeners out there. I was amazed. I thought that we were just doing this for ourselves. No, not really. I'm doing it for you guys. So today we've got a show which is basically, we got Flargle, of course, and we're going to do a little bit of news because last week, we missed so many good stories. Every time, I really got to work on this sidekick thing because I'm telling you, you're supposed to have this stuff loaded and ready for me. I'm not supposed to come at... One of the things that popped into my head after was Silk Road got busted last week, right when the feds were, in their beginning of their shutdown. And, that whole thing was I couldn't believe how much money that guy produced in such a short time. It was more than Breaking Bad did. So think about that. That guy had how many barrels? 8 barrels or something? They would have been 10 or 12 barrels. He had 1.2 billion. That's crazy, right? So, anyway,
Wow.
Too bad Silk Road's down. Obviously, I never used it.
That was a crazy website. I looked for it.
I was scared to even go on it.
I was so scared. I found it there. I looked for like 2-3 hours online. Finally found the link. Went to it, and that shit is crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely like one of the more ballsy moves out there, I'd have to say.
It was on drugs here, too.
Yeah? Also, yeah. No, it's definitely like... I have to give the guy, bam, you were the man for taking down that risk. I don't think I would ever want to do anything like that, but it was definitely interesting to see how this whole industry can change. That's somebody just taking an idea for something else and slipping a little bit of action in there. And there was some stuff on there. Like I said, I opened up the pages and I was in shock myself. I was like, I don't think I want to be here. This is not a good place to be.
Weed costs a lot more on the Silk Road.
Yeah, and it is. You're definitely taking a huge risk out there. I don't recommend anybody ever mail orders anything like that because that's definitely how you get in trouble out there.
Yeah.
That is the key to this whole thing. We are still. Luckily, we live in Colorado, so we have our own little world here. We can stay within the boundaries of this great little state. But hopefully, it's all spreading out. And it's going to connect state by state. It's almost like how back in the day they would, there'd be nothing, and then there'd be a little mall in one spot, and then all of a sudden there'd be another mall in another town, and then now you drive back to that same place 20 years later, and it's just nothing but strip malls connecting every single one of them, you know what I mean? And it's going to be like that, I think, with the connection of all these dispensaries and dispensary models. One state will have it right, one state will look at how they're doing it, maybe connect the dots, but I'm assuming within a few years we're going to have it just like coast to coast, I hope, and that's the goal, right?
That'd be pretty sweet. Drive across the country and be able to stop in every state to buy more weed.
That is the goal. Almost the ultimate goal in life. It's not much. Our goals are very low. We set our bar pretty low here. Let's see. Well, we've had a pretty crazy week. We did the Hands on Hemp, which I invited all of you to, and a bunch of you did show up, so it was great to see that. And that's actually one of the first times when I did get a few people who had come from the radio show, so I thought that was awesome. And it was a really good one because we showed Bringing It Home, a documentary that basically was real simple. It just showed how America is so far behind on this whole hemp thing. It showed South Africa. It showed... what was the other place? England. England is a place which anybody who's been to England knows as far as cannabis goes, it's pretty hard. It's better now than it ever was, but for the longest time, it was like the reason why Amsterdam thrived so well is because everybody from London would be there on every week. It's like a easy weekend trip. So everybody would zip over for the weekend. But just to see the hemp fields growing in England, and before they're here, it was like, come on now, didn't we leave England? Didn't we actually leave England because they were
Yeah,
oppressing
they're
us?
secede from England.
And now we are more oppressed than they are when it comes to the most common thing. But yeah, it was interesting to see that all the countries had hemp houses, which is what is big news right now here. And they were gorgeous, man. If you look up Asheville, North Carolina, the hemp house that they were showing, which was the original one in America, it is a beautiful house. I mean, maybe we can pull it up at some point, but maybe not now. Don't worry about it. Asheville, North Carolina hemp house. You gonna pull it up? Yeah, cool. Pull that up and just show these people how nice it can be. And the reason that the guy built the house in the first place is because he has a daughter which has got like an autoimmunity disease that was like a very rare genetic disorder, and so she was like allergic to everything basically, and she had a lot to do with the housing because what this film explained was that 41% of our energy is going to heating our houses. You know, I mean, that's like, well, what a waste, right? And these houses are super efficient as far as heat, cool, all that. Super healthy, antibacterial. What's that?
And the walls get stronger over time?
Yeah, and everything would solidify. It basically becomes, there's a couple better shots. There's like one that's a back shot that shows it like how it looks out over. It's really nice. But it's... yeah, it breathes. So the interesting part is concrete is very creates like a barrier. So you end up with black mold growing inside or something. You know, you have like real issues, and this doesn't ever have that. It's hypoallergenic in itself naturally, and the building is basically it's just simple. It's like it's there you go. There's a gorgeous picture, right? Beautiful house, and they had houses from everywhere, and some of them were like Victorian style, and some of them were like this, more modern. But it was really awesome. The film was made. Flargo, aren't you supposed to be looking stuff up? You're just sitting around, man. This guy, sidekicks. I'm looking for a new sidekick out there. Anybody out there who's a little quicker?
James is out there.
James is he's a great sidekick. It's like Jay and Silent Bob sidekick. Silent James. There you go. There's a picture of the house, and you can see that thing is absolutely gorgeous, right? And that's the thing I think. Then if somebody sees a place like that, that really kind of hits home here in Colorado too, because that's got a vibe where you could see that anywhere here up in the mountains or something, you know. So that was awesome. That was one of the parts of the film, and actually the part that I liked is right in the very beginning. They had a really good analogy, which was, if you had a cousin that looked a lot like you, and he was a really big time criminal, and you got locked away for it. You know, how does that seem to be like have any kind of moral justice there? And that's basically where we're at right now. We have this cousin of cannabis, which, you know, hemp does look very similar, but at the same time, when you grow them differently, they end up looking completely different as finished plants.
One's 12 feet tall, one's 4-foot bush.
Exactly, and so. The fact that all these other countries like South Africa and places that are oppressed and have difficult situations, not as bad as it was during apartheid, but still definitely more oppressed than we are at this point. They've managed to separate the two, and that's their big argument is that of course we're going to grow fields of hemp. And it's actually going to be cannabis, and we're going to be hiding it with a little row of hemp around the outside or something. And it's just not going to happen. We all know about cross-pollination. We all know it's not desirable. And, beyond all that, I think we can grow enough weed if we want. It doesn't even matter anymore. We're beyond all that. It's like maybe back when it was clandestine. But that's and then the UK was the same situation. They didn't want to have. They were a little bit reluctant at first because they thought gangs were going to come in and cut it all down and put it on the black market, and none of that ever happened. So. Yeah,
that would have been pretty shitty to buy a bunch of hemp in a bag.
Well, there's plenty of people who go out to Nebraska and buy a bunch of crap, or pick a bunch of crap and bring it back east. That's happened plenty of times, but. Let them do that is exactly what the guy had said in the film, which is they'll ruin their reputation as being a bunch of dealers, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, if you're out to scam people, there's always going to be people out there scamming people. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way life is. And
scammers get scamming reputations,
but then they get everybody gets theirs in the end. That's how it usually works, So, close, Florida.
Close. Hello, microphone.
Not that we want to listen to you too much or anything, but you can get in there, I guess.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, that was so the hands-on hemp was very successful. We had about 45, 50 people there. It was quite good, and
Bunch of celebrities.
and a bunch of celebrities. We had Ryan Lufflin came, the farmer who was. We went down to pick his hemp field last week. Oh yeah, don't you worry.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one to talk about.
Huh? Sure.
It's all official.
Official like
Super official.
But yeah, we had Ryan Laughlin there, and we had Landon there also. He's only 3 years old. I thought he was 6 years old for, but I guess he's only 3. Landon, who's the child who's on when the state was trying to force him to be back on chemo, and actually it turned out it wasn't the state; it was the doctor who turned her in. So hopefully, she gets a new doctor, and it's not such a big situation. But what was really interesting, it was great to see him and see that he was doing he was actually. Unfortunately, I think they had him back on chemo, but they were doing a combination between the two, and they said that when he was obviously the hardest part is getting over the purge, the first part. So when you're on chemo and then they try to put you onto something else, and he's like a small child, so of course his body rejected everything at first, but then once the cannabis started to work, it really worked awesome, and his hair was growing back, and
yeah, look, I didn't know he was sick.
Yeah, no, I mean he seemed a little down too, a little bit, little down energy wise, but they said that he had just done the chemotherapy, so that was obviously reason. But the really interesting part was his mom was explaining that that basically they've brought over 100 families now to Colorado with children with cancer or MS or conditions that cannabis is helping, and that's quite a lot. If you think of 100 families, that means there's like 300-400 people, maybe 500 people. It depends on the size of the families, of course. And to get up and move out of state to come to the state that's actually going to let your child be taken care of is a huge step. And I'm sure and a lot of them are from Utah. That was the crazy part. She's from Utah, and she was telling us about the Mormons and how
the Mormon wives.
Yeah, and now it's actually. They've even recognized this because it's about children, you know what I mean? And who has more children than the Mormons? I don't think there's many. I don't think there's that many people who could actually say they have more children than the Mormons. That's probably one of the claims to fame that they have. But and we want them to take care of their children. So I'm hoping that this is a step in the right direction for them, and maybe. And with Mormons, I always love this little story or a little anecdote, because when I was in Utah and I had to I had a friend of mine who unfortunately got in trouble there, and he got a chance to sit with the local law enforcement there and talk to them for hours on end. And he was a talker. He's almost worse than me, and he brought up the idea to these guys like, hey, what is this tree of life that you guys are always talking about? And they were just like, it's the tree of life. Well, that's not a really good explanation. A tree of life has to be something if you're really going to base it on something. Not that I believe anything that their things are based on, because it's a very wacky story, but the idea that the tree of life that gives you everything, well, there's really only one plant that does that. So he basically nailed them with that one, and I have to say that was probably the most intelligent thing this guy's ever said in his life. But he definitely nailed it on the head when he told them that they should look into their scriptures and see if they don't believe that maybe the tree of life might just be the cannabis plant, because it's the only thing that can give you food and shelter and take care of the earth and protect everybody. And no, it is the tree of life. We know that.
And provide fun.
And provide a little fun on top. Yeah, that's what's wrong with some fun.
What's wrong with fun?
Yeah, and that's the funny part is we've only really focused on that side for so long that it's like, this.
But the crazy part is when you take the medical aspect out, the Republicans jump on board for fun weed, which actually opens, I feel, more doors towards trying to treat people.
Yeah, well, if there's money there, they'll jump on board out of anything,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and that's
money.
And that is the problem that people with cannabis a lot of times associate it always with money, and I think that's where you go wrong, because especially when you grow your own, you'll realize that it's not about cash. It's a lot of times about just being able to have that security of going into your little bucket and pulling out your buds,
really
and
nice.
not having to think about the money side of it all, because when you start to think of that, it does definitely take the effect a little bit away in my opinion. I mean, some people probably get off on the fact that they're smoking $100 a gram, whatever. And to me, it's like, are you
$100 gram.
But from the other side of the fence, I understand $100 grams of hash and things because there is a lot of time stuff, which I'm not going to give it up to anybody. I mean, that's worth more than that to me. So the value is there, but it's not the value that I think of in the sense of I'm going to go out and buy it. It's the value in the sense I don't have to buy it. I think that's the key, you know. So there's little words of wisdom from my brain that hasn't had coffee this morning. That's the other problem. I'm waiting on coffee right now. I had to run. Yes, coffee is coming. I had to run out the house really quick. Sorry to my wife, my mom, and my baby that I forgot all about. I kind of forgot all about the radio show and was just checking my emails for a second and realized that I had a contract from Georgia. So I thought, probably should go down there and take care of this radio show that I'm supposed to be doing. But yeah, so I had to run out of the house, no coffee, and I didn't even have a chance to stop anywhere. So I've sent somebody to get coffee, and then my brain might work a little better. So if I get a little scattery, sorry. Obviously, I'm not writing any of this stuff down. This is very off the cuff. We actually made a thing called Off the Cuff Productions at one point in our little world, just because everything we do is kind of like that. We'd like to just wing it and make it happen, and sometimes, usually it's great, you know.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
Was that Flargle Mumble over there?
Secret Cup.
Secret Cup, yes. And we have some special guests later. I'm going to bring on Dan DeSize from Top Shelf Extract, and I think he's going to bring a few of his top boys. I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll see when we get there. But he is getting ready for the Secret Cup, which starts tomorrow. I'm going to let him explain the whole thing because it's kind of a secret. You know, it's kind of hard, yeah. When something's called the Secret Cup, but it's trying to promote, it's hard to promote things like that, you know? It's got to be, it's like Fight Club. It's like trying to promote Fight Club. You got to be, you know.
So what that means somebody get beaten up now when I go back to the lab because I said Secret Cup on the radio?
Pretty much, yeah. You're pretty much done.
Goodbye, everyone.
Looking for a new sidekick out there, anybody? But yeah, so we have Dan coming at 12 o'clock. So we have a little time here. We're gonna go. I think we do have some news. We had a lot of news actually, and there's also a lot of other things that are coming and happening. So let's go through a few. Obviously, the first one I want to address because everybody's talking about it is this whole smell issue, which is just retarded. Sorry, George. It's just the worst idea though that I've ever. I mean, it's one of those classic examples of how can we screw with people more, you know, and especially when you start talking about private property and you start talking about how they want to enforce it where, you know, you can't, if somebody can smell it from next door, they can complain. And the problem with that is that we're back to the same issue of who filed what and where and did it really happen, because it doesn't take a genius to know that if there's somebody smoking cannabis that it might smell a little bit, you know what I mean? And that's and I think that is the key to the whole thing about this is getting used to it, not even worrying like what is the big issue, because I love the smell of cannabis. I can't. If I smell it, I'm like, wow.
Especially some of those neighborhoods you drive through where they got the mega dispensaries and all you smell for like a 5-6 block radius is just, oh, it smells so good.
Right. Well, so I mean, and I can see where neighborhoods can get in kind of pissed off at bigger establishments, but then again, a lot of times if you look at the neighborhoods that they stick these places in, I mean, it's like there's a pig roasting factory boiling away, you know, pig ears next door or something. And that's the problem in my neighborhood. There's that one place that does these pig ear things for dog treats. And when they start cooking those things up, our whole neighborhood is in the Rhino district is unbelievable. Like it is the stank. They had a thing on Westward about it. Look at this, guys. You see that? There we go. Brain is coming back. I don't need sugar. This one says James on it, so it's probably not. Oh, they all say James on it. Hey, there you go. See, I had no coffee. I'm like, James. Thanks. Wait 1 second. I hate Starbucks, though. It's the only bummer about this thing. I hate Starbucks, but where are you going to go? You know, you got to, know the spot.
What's even crazier is the fines. They want to stick you in jail for a year and fine you up to $1,000.
Yeah, I don't really see any of this coming through because it's
too easy to beat in court.
It seems unconstitutional. It seems unconstitutional. Unfortunately, if you had Rob Corey kind of defending you on this situation, it might not work because I think he caused him a little of this wave himself. with that football that game that he was smoking at. So I don't know. I think right now we're at tick for tack where everybody's a little bit, you're going to do this and we're going to do that. Okay, so you're going to do that and then we're going to have to do that. And we're very adjustable people. So that's the one thing I think they don't understand is that we have no problems adjusting to any situation as long as we have a little cannabis around. Take the cannabis away, we might have a little bit of problem. But no, in general, we're very easygoing people. So I think this whole idea of throwing big numbers, what's one thing about America which is interesting is when you're in Europe, you never see these signs that say up to a year in jail everywhere, But when you come back to the States, it's like everywhere you go, there's a sign that says up to 10 years in jail or 5 years in jail or this or that or fine here or fine there, and I mean, not that they're not enforcing them, but a lot of times I'm like, really? So it says up to 10 years in jail for pulling off a tag on a mattress. Who's coming for me? You know what I mean? I pulled those tags off every time I go wham. When I was a kid, I do that every time. Woof. And I'd be like, you're in jail. So there's some rules. I don't know if it's 100%. I don't think there's mattress dudes out there yet. I mean, if they get really bored, they'll break it down to the dudes looking for your tags on your mattresses.
That would be scary.
But no, I think these big fines and stuff, it's really a scare tactic to get people to think oh my God, I have to lock myself in my room and put on 19 different filters. And
through a spoof.
And I think
gotta go back to the spoof.
I think people are smart enough to kind of get around this. And I think at the end of the day, it's really just for people who are not. I mean, if you're one thing I don't do, and I try not to smoke in public when it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go out and blaze just because now I feel like it's my right. I lived in Amsterdam for too long to even worry about it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not a big thrill. I don't care. But of course, you don't feel like you want to be like. It's like when you're traveling and you're in, say you're in New York City. It's hard to find a place to smoke in New York City, I'll tell you. If you don't know where you're going, you're running around. You got weed in your pocket, but you can't really smoke it. And then you can't just do the cruise like you used to because they're definitely looking for that. They like to round up weed guys. And New York's notorious for it. Plenty of people have been pulled in, and they just keep you in the bus the whole day while they cruise around and pick up more people. And that's all they're looking for is people smoking cannabis. So
stupid.
So there's definitely a lot of wasted resources out there. And part of that is even writing up some of these ordinances and some of this stuff, I think is just a big waste of time. It's like they could have come to a much clearer thing. Did you go through any of these? Did you look for some good stuff?
Yeah, when I was reading earlier this morning that they estimated if you legalize cannabis, you save about $13.7 billion plus extra revenue and taxes.
And massive Krispy Kreme
explosion.
Stocks would go through the roof, right?
Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts. Invest in those when it all goes legal.
Yeah, no, I mean that seems like a low number to me actually. I mean, if the Pens make $500 million a year already on their own,
well, they spend $2 trillion.
Then I think if one little aspect of this industry makes $500 million, then $16 billion ain't nothing. You know what I mean? And that's only the cannabis side. That's legalizing cannabis.
Yeah.
Don't even talk about that. Let's talk about legalize. Let's talk about we already got legalized hemp here, but let's talk about nationwide legalized hemp. Now we're talking hundreds and I don't even know the numbers anymore. Cajillions.
Like maybe pudgillions.
It was a Googleplex actually.
Googleplex.
It would be a Googleplex.
That's a lot of money.
We love that word, by the way. We use that often. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that the positives are always outweigh the negatives. That's not even an issue. It's more now it's just getting the right people to recognize, and to have some sort of say in this matter and make some, because we're also at this tipping point too. So I think once we get over that hump, which is a couple more states, and it's already going that way. I mean, right now the crazy part is that everybody has their own way of doing things, and so we're gonna have to meet in the middle at some point. States are going to have to recognize other states. I don't understand why Colorado doesn't do that either. I mean, it's like one of the most obvious things is that if you're a medical patient in one state and then you travel to another state, you're still a medical patient. It doesn't change your medical condition. It doesn't change the fact that you and especially if you're in 2 medical states. Now, wait a minute, how does that even work? So I don't understand why Colorado is not leading the way in that. Nevada is, on the sense, because Nevada is a purely tourism-driven place, so obviously they have to.
Because the mountain people don't realize half the people ski and love to smoke weed.
I would think they would. The other thing that's also crazy about this whole smoking and smells and things is the fact that now, for instance, that they want to, if you have a rental house now, it's up to the landlord to kick you out for smoking. And it kind of always was, and in my opinion, but now it's on paper that it's allowed for them to do that. So it's like they're not breaking your contract by kicking you out. So imagine in those ski towns where there is nobody owns those houses. Every single thing up there is rented. So really, they're kind of leaving it like if the wrong people are in charge and they start kicking everybody out for smoking weed in their condos. Well, they're going to lose a lot of business, you know what I mean? And that's the whole reason that people are coming here, is because they think that Colorado, especially January 1st, I'm pretty excited and a little bit nervous to see. It's almost like the Cannabis Cup times a million, because the Cannabis Cup, I already knew because my shop was across the street and the numbers were sort of staggering in my head. I was like, wow, I wonder how this is all going to go down, because I could see it. And I was looking at the space every day. So I had a really good inside scoop on that. And now, just thinking about what Colorado is going to be like, imagine January 1st, every hotel's booked. Like there's no hotel rooms now. So that's already months ahead. It's like going to be New Year's times, I don't know. I think we're going to smoke all the weed on New Year's. What's really going to happen? Yeah, we're going to wake up on the 2nd and we're going to be like, fuck, we have no weed in Colorado. We need airdrops now. Quick, it's gonna be mayhem. I think I'm gonna store. I think I'm gonna store some buds away. I think I'm just gonna start stashing for January, just as a little backup plan, like a
January
survival kit.
You take some dabs.
Yeah, dabs. Forget about it. Dabs are gonna be so people are gonna be talking about. You remember when we could get those dabs? Because it's such a hard thing to keep up on right now, and I'm pretty sure you can vouch for that, even though you don't have to say any words over there, right, James? Oh yeah, see, words from James. Words of wisdom. He knows it is very hard to keep up on a concentrate level at the optimum level to keep those people keep them all satisfied, because also people, you got to remember, everybody gets used to certain things and they want to have it exactly the same every time. And it's just not like that, especially when we're rushed, and I think we're going to get rushed really hard because there's millions of people coming here. Millions.
There's 300 people in the world.
Well, they were saying like 70,000 people were coming. I was like, shut up. There's going to be more than 70,000.
That's 70,000 maybe flying in.
There's going to be a million people.
It's going to be like Occupy movement, except they're all going to be a bunch of stoners, and they're not going to be really occupying. They're just going to be passed out in the grass.
It's going to be Wookiee Central down here, I'm telling you. Yeah, Wookiees everywhere. It's going to be like you're going to be tripping over Wookiees.
It'll be fun.
Grassroots is going to do well. Come January 1st. We're going to be outfitting. But, we're going to do well. Hood Lab is going to do great. We're excited about it. People are actually now standing in the lab and saying, like just imagining how it's going to be only in about 2 months, because really there are going to be a lot more people, just droves coming through, and right now it's like
even at the weed holidays, it's like,
yeah, well, we've already got
a bajillion.
We've already got three long holidays now, so we're working on. I'm sure we'll be working on the 4th or 5th. Like we were saying the other day, it's like a cup here, a cup there. Here a cup, there a cup, everywhere a cup. So we're having like how many cups? We have a cup. Secret Cup's going on tomorrow, and then. Extract Artist Party is also going on Saturday. So it's like, this is a crazy week. They got KRS-One and Farside, and who else they got on their lineup? They got a great lineup.
Mr. Vegas or something.
Yeah.
Trapzilla's
there. They got a big lineup. Both sides of Cervantes.
There's 2 sides of it?
There is 2 sides.
What? I've only seen one side.
What do you think the other side's called?
The other side?
Very good. Oh my God. Hey, we have a winner. We have a winner over here.
That is wild.
He actually got it. Okay, so
Very creative.
What a weekend, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we got great, and then the Secret Cup has, they're doing theirs at the Right Group also, which is on Colorado and I-70, Colorado I-70, same place they did the 710 Cup, and so it's like they're going to be busing people back and forth from the two events, and it's definitely, I mean, they're all working together, which is awesome. It's like, at first I thought it was going to be two separate events with the same exact ideas, and I thought it was going to be too much, but now I understand that everybody's working together, so that's awesome. And that's what this industry needs. You need to be working together.
Come together.
You need to make things work. That's the problem. Everybody likes to schedule things on the same time. I mean, this week, like, it is pretty nuts out there. There's a lot of events going on. And, like, what was going on 2 years ago around this time? Probably nothing. So, I mean, we're creating our own holidays, which is awesome. That's a nice thing to be able to do. America. Yep. Land of holidays now. Land of cannabis holidays. That's all we do.
Got you beat in Amsterdam.
Yeah, and I mean, and I've actually made a decision this year. I'm not going to the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam. So there you go. First time in 21 years I'm not going. It's too much going on here. Too much to happening. I can't really see myself leaving for even a week, and it's I've been through now since the last time I was in Amsterdam until now. I've already been to 4 cups or something. So it's like, to go back to a cup, it seems redundant almost at this point. So I'm gonna let my partners back there take care of the events, and we'll see. I mean, I definitely I will be. I'm sure during the events I'm going to be kind of bummed out because after 21 years, it's kind of like a high school reunion or something, and as much as you would not want to go to it, you kind of have to go to it because you want to see where everybody's at in the world and how it's going. And since we've been doing so well over here, I want to go back and be like, yeah, our weed is better, our hash is better. Just like everybody that ever came there and told it to me before. And I was like, no, it isn't. But that's because I was there. So, I mean, now it is. No, but it was definitely, it is interesting to see the fact that it's there's so much going on that now it's even like to go out to Amsterdam, it just doesn't even seem necessary at this point. But to all my friends who are going out there, I will definitely be there with you in the sense of spirit because like I said, and there's a thing called FaceTime now, of course, and we can all get on the computer and I can. I figured since Matt Stang's been like known as the guy who's on the iPad every year, and they just walk around with him on the iPad. I told him maybe we could make out on iPads or something like that. So it wouldn't really be like making out, but just put them together and we'll pretend or something. We'll do some crazy sesh, But I figure, if more people traveled like that, like just take your iPad and just carry it around and just like hang it around your neck with your friend's face there, and like you guys can travel together. It's like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's my boy right there, yeah. Master Blaster. Who runs Bartertown? Master Blaster. So anyway, Cannabis Cup, yeah, we'll just skip it this year, no problem. But we'll have so many, like I said, we have so many events going on here. Also on this Saturday is at the Hood Lab. This was booked before any of these the cannabis weed holidays, so I'm gonna have to be jumping around for my own parties. But there is we're doing our first installment of like a monthly drum and bass event. Uncontrolled is the night, and it's the third Saturday of every month, and this will be the first one. So nice, yeah, really good drum and bass party. Got Legion is playing, and who else? There's a couple. I don't even know. It's not my party, but it's at my place. We think I know, right?
Legion,
we will be hyping it up in a little bit when Flargle figures it out. He has to get online and actually do something. But anybody out there, anybody who wants to be a sidekick, just give us a call. He's one step away. And what's the number here again? Give me the number. 720. Where is it? Show me. Oh, there it is. 720-381-1420. Obviously 420 at the end. Give us a call if you guys have any questions, if you want to yell at Flargle, whatever. And give me some other crazy news out there, because I know you've been researching all week. He's been researching all week, and he hasn't pulled up one thing.
The Dalai Lama supports medical marijuana.
Bam! There you go. Cool. There you go.
He announced to Mexico as they're about to go full on regularization like the rest.
Regularization.
Regularization.
Yeah. Really. That's pretty cool.
Oh, drum and bass is gonna be.
There you go. Bam.
Phonetic.
Phonetic. Come on now.
Just Ben Travis, Versatile Styles, Womp Truck.
Womp Truck's there.
Taj One and Sonus.
Nice. We'll probably go back over that list again, and I'll probably make it sound way more exciting in a little bit before we end the show, so we can hype it up. So if you missed the mumbly version of it, wait till the end of the show, and then I'll re-announce it. And what else do we have going on at the lab? Oh, yeah, we have a haunted house going on next on the 25th. So everybody who enjoyed our costume parties from the past should start to think about the 25th being their date to get their costumes ready for the Hood Lab event, because it's kind of a weird one this year. Halloween falls on a Thursday, meaning you have to celebrate it the weekend before, or pick that Thursday and, be crusty on Friday, and the classic. It doesn't really fall on the greatest day. So I think a lot of parties are going to be happening that day. So you won't be out of place if you're on the 25th dressed up at my place. And we're going to have a pedicab haunted house, which I think is the world's first. I'm not sure. We kind of brainstormed the idea. My friends who run pedicabs, they're going to be running, basically you buy a wristband and you can go from my party to, there's about 2 or 3 other parties all on the same street. And,
free transportation.
And they're going to have transportation going in between each of them. And then each place has its own little haunted house, which you don't have to get up and go get out of the pedicab. You can just stay in the pedicab if you want and just have them go to all 4 spots and check out what's going on and just pick your spot. And hopefully they'll all end up at the Hood Lab, because that's where the best spot will be. But the idea is pretty cool, and it's innovative. So if you're interested in either hanging out at the lab that night and checking out that, or actually being part of it and jumping on the pedicab and riding around, I think it's going to be pretty cool. And the Rhino District is pretty awesome right now too. So there's lots of, like, there's one alleyway that runs in between Walnut and Larimer, and it's got some great graffiti. It's like just riding down that. I usually cruise it when I have to take my kid around and make him go to sleep. So I'll just kind of cruise down that alleyway so we can check out all the art. And Rhino District's awesome. So Hood Lab 25th. What else we had on our schedule? God, we had so much. Oh, we have Champs coming up too. Jesus, there's so much going on.
So much Champs.
Champs is awesome too, but Champs it's like their 20th year or something. They've been doing it forever in Vegas, and
first year in Denver.
And it's the first year in Denver, so everybody's really excited. There's there's 500 booths, maybe even 600 booths, sold out like immediately. So there's going to be a ton of people in town for this. It is the paraphernalia trade show, so there's all the glass blowers, some of the top, all the banjo, cowboy, all those people will be there. It's going to be pretty much off the chain. And the one thing I love about Champs, it's different now that it comes to where you're at. But I mean, every time I went there, I would come home just with the latest things, and some of the nicest glass. I got my ham piece last time from there, and it's like, it's a professionally run trade show, so it's not like you have to be a retail shop, or go with somebody who has a retail shop. But it is free if you just come in and you show your card from your business, and then they sign you up as a buyer, and then you just cruise around and peruse and check out all this stuff. There is some great glass blowers, and they have live glass blowing. Then they also do like a competition. They usually make like a remote control cars with glass bodies on them and then smash them all into each other. It's pretty off the chain.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. The sound of broken glass. It's fun to watch glass blowers whenever they all freak out, It's pretty cool. But it's fun to do just in case, see a bunch of glass blowers, throw a bottle down the ground, watch them cringe. But the Champs is coming into town on the 22nd to the 24th. And we are going to be having a booth there for Hood Lab, and also for Dank, which is the in-house printing that we do in the Hood Lab. And Dank is actually coming out with their own line of bags now, which is going to be called coffin bags. Yes, there you go. Yeah, you got something for once. And now the coffin bag's awesome. It's like a dab dream bag, because it has everything in it. Really cool dab rag kind of holder, which slides back up inside. You'll have to come check it out at the Hood Lab. It's going to be there starting, I I think on the 22nd we'll have it officially launched for the first day of Champs. That's the idea. But really, really cool. I'll be showing it on the show once it's out there. Right now, it's still secret. It's another secret. Damn! I told everybody. I just told everybody. I guess it's not a secret anymore.
Not a secret.
We're so close. I mean, we might as well get this thing out there. And so it's times at the lab are definitely busy. That's for sure. And then we got a lot of other secrets coming up. More secrets. My God, how many secrets can we have? I'm very secretive.
We're gonna be out of town for the next weekend.
What are you talking
Next
about?
Friday or in 2 weeks?
Who?
Huh? More secrets to be announced later.
Yeah, I see.
More secrets.
Yeah.
They keep spilling it. I can't leak any more secrets.
Really? Anybody out there want to be a sidekick? I'm looking hard. Yeah, more secrets. Can't tell you nothing. Basically, there's a radio show where we have nothing but secrets, and that makes a lot of sense, right? So, now, what is the new news over here that you're checking out?
Oh, they found a new chemical to stop you from having any fun.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
What kind of?
Kynurenic acid. It
And
blocks dopamine receptors, so you can smoke weed and not have any beneficials from anything.
Oh, that's a great
You
idea.
can just be depressed all day because you'll have no fun. Your brain just won't.
And is this the idea for like people who get caught or?
I don't know. They found drug addicted rats and monkeys, so I'm kind of curious about these drug addicted rats and monkeys.
Yeah, that
Like,
sounds
where
like
do they hang out?
sounds like a band. Drug addicted rats and monkeys.
Yeah,
I like it. Or at least an album cover. At least an album or something.
that would be a sight to see.
Yeah, what we really need to do is develop things that make you not get high. That sounds like a great idea. Okay, so nix that one, please. Anything else?
I guess there's this cool thing about 10 edibles that look like real food, or should be real food. One
Yeah,
of them's your buddy.
yeah. Well, that was the original one, but I think that might actually be a newer version because he's been ripped off so many times with those that.
It's got Chinese letters.
Oh, Chinese letter.
Asian
But
letters.
ancient Chinese letter.
And
But
it's made by Nestle.
Nestle.
Yeah, because it can't be Nestle.
That's kind of ridiculous. You know, that is the fastest way to get in trouble in this industry is to plagiarize another bigger company out there because they really love that. You know what I mean? That's one thing they love is to take their thing that they've trademarked and spent millions on, and then have some kid make a copy of it in his bedroom. You know, so I understand why they get pissed off about that stuff. Of course, I was super stoked when I first tried my first Keef Cat, but you know that was 15 years ago or so, and then those guys. The original crew, they basically broke up, and then they got taken down. You know, the main guy, Mickey, got taken down. So, unfortunate, but news of the world.
Yeah, here's the lawmaker, the Utah news we're talking about.
Okay.
They're
Yeah,
actually-
so now they're actually trying to, this is the news from Utah where they are basically trying to extract CBD. They want to get CBD oil from here and bring it to Utah for the children, and they're trying to get special permission to do all this. Yeah, I mean, that could be, but I think right now, because we can't wait for him to grow, can we? I mean, it's like, it has to be from the thing we don't have. Can't be from the thing we have that's right here that works, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I, to be quite honest, CBD from hemp, I'm not 100% on anything. I'm just going on my gut. I don't think it's as good as the CBD you're going to get from drug strains.
Well, last night we had a cool discussion about the symbiosis of THC and CBD and how the more balanced levels of the two is more beneficial.
Yeah, if you have like a 10-10 ratio, you're going to do much better than if you have like a 16-0 ratio. Because even though you're looking for CBD, if you have 16% CBD with no THC, it's like it also doesn't work the same way. It's the same problem that they have on the reverse. Like THC works when you have pure THC with no CBD. It definitely works, but it's also very edgy, and some people get nervous with that kind of a high. It's not as full-bodied high, And so when you have a mix, like a good mix, and lower numbers, like say even only like 7% THC, but you have 6% CBD, that's a much closer ratio, and that actually will feel stronger. You'll think it's really, really strong, and that's why a lot of times there's been cannabis cups. It's funny, the original cannabis cup that they did a THC test was in 1999, and before that they never did it, and then after that they never did it for a long time either. And it was just because when they did it that year, it flipped all the numbers upside down, and then it made everybody get a little bit like, well, why is that winning? Because that has 9% THC, and the one that lost had 23% THC. So then it didn't look like. Then that was the part of the science that. And that's the part that I was kind of disappointed that High Times, they should have been taking THC samples from day one, because then they would be the go-to guys for this information. But instead, they didn't want to spend the money, so they didn't do it, and which is sad because, like I said, that 1 year, it told us a whole lot of stories. It was like interesting to see. And I'll try to get that list again and pull it up for you guys at some point. I know it's not online or anything, but maybe it is. Maybe Flargo can find it. It might be, actually, because we have posted some things at one point. But in general, at the very, very bottom was all the winners. It was like, wow, winner, 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 right at the bottom. And that wasn't just a coincidence, I don't think. I think it was just because we're not always looking at things from the way that it should be. A lot of times people think, oh, high THC, it's going to be really strong. Well, no, it's literally a balance between all of these, between the THCV, THC Delta 9, the CBDs and CBNs, CBCs. It's like CBGs. There's like CBGBs. The CBGBs. No, there's so many elements in there that you gotta. It's like rolling dice, and so if you're rolling 6 dice at a time, compared to 2, it's very hard to predict the outcome. So when you're rolling 6 dice, imagine that one's THC, one's these are all your different elements. You're rolling them, and you just may hit every 30th roll. You're like, wow, it's the one, and that's kind of the way it is when you're cracking beans. You're throwing them down, and you're just like, oh, this one's no good. This one's boom, that's the one. And that's the fun of it all too. That's the excitement, is the fact that every one is like unlocking a little puzzle, and you're trying to like create the puzzle and see if it works, or like I said before, rolling dice. Did you find anything?
Nah,
Nada.
It's hidden from the world.
Hidden from the world. See, like I told you, the information was too much.
Too much, man.
Too much to deal with, man. It was too much.
How'd I lose 23% THC?
Yeah, but I mean, definitely on the bottom of those lists was like, because like Summer was really pissed because his was only like 9% or something like that. But it was really strong. And it was like, it just showed you. I was like, look, we got to look at this a little bit more. The problem is that also everybody's trying to figure it out now too. But we have to cross-reference our notes, you know what I mean? It's like no one's going to figure it out on their own. And it's kind of like we need this supercomputer of stoners to put their information together, and part of that information is just experiences, and like a lot of us don't write everything down either, like we're not real scientists. We're like, and for a lot of the core people, especially the ones that have been growing for a long time, to write things down is scary, because they have always been in the shadows and hiding. And so the last thing you wanted to do is write 16 pounds on date September 15. That's like not smart, but then the information is lost, you know what I mean? And we all think we can remember stuff, but that's not true. So like, we'll see. You can, I mean, of course, we got to train your mind, but at the end of the day, it's definitely a lot better if you can do that. I am definitely not the example. Don't do as I say, not as I do on this one, for sure. You can ask my mom.
Toothache drops.
They had cocaine, everything back in the day.
15 cents. It's so cheap.
They had it all back in the day.
What? So what changed?
Well, the one thing, I was going to say religion, I think, is probably one of the keys to the whole thing. I mean, America is such a religious place, and you don't really even realize it. You know what I mean? Like I tried to escape that whole thing, but then we also kind of wanted to.
We escaped to become the most religious nuts because we were too crazy for Europe.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And now here we are now, 220 years later or whatever. Yeah, no, it is interesting to see, especially like coming from Europe back to here and really like driving through some areas and seeing how many churches there are and stuff. You're like, really? There's not even that many houses here. There's like a church every, especially we were driving out. We were out in Parker or whatever, and it was, how many churches are out there? It was like, giant churches too, like huge. And you're like, who is paying for all that stuff? Unbelievable. But, it's, I think a lot of it has to do also with the fact that people in the religious game, they've got a million tax breaks. They've got all these they live that world. I'm not a big fan of even caring about a tax break in the first place. You know what I mean? So So I think that's kind of where it comes down. You know, they love the structure. You know, they're structure-oriented people. What do you got? What do you got? You got something good?
I almost found it, I think.
Almost found it. No, it's not going to be on that, I don't think. They're going to show you the winners, but they're not going to show you the THC results, I'm telling you. I'll find it. I'll have to get it sent over from the dam.
From the dam.
So, got anybody on the chat at all today, or is it just a bunch of... Yeah?
Miami, not Bruce Banner.
Yeah!
Hi, people.
That's what we want to hear. Is my New York peeps there again? Mike's there? DJ NYC. That's actually my kid's name now, so you're going to be careful. Stealing my kid's tag. That is his name, NYC. So,
I'm going to confuse the hell out of his teachers.
oh, yeah, they're going to, like we were saying yesterday, they're going to think that it's like, they're definitely going to think he's not a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid with spelling his name NYC, you know, definitely, huh? Like, wasn't expecting that, you know. So, and then he's going to say, no, my name's Nice. My name's Nice. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of jokes, I'm sure. I can't wait till he can talk a little bit, because right now it's just like we're in that zone where we're like, he's communicating to me, but, you know, there's so much to... I have so much humor to instill into you, son. Yeah, no, he's getting the sense of humor right now, too, which is great. Anybody out there who has a 15-month-old will know what I'm talking about. He's like center of attention, and he is having no problem dealing with, you know, everybody around. Like, he's like at the lab 4 days a week, and it's awesome. But he's getting a little bit cray right lately. He's definitely, you know, busting out. But like I said, can't wait to talk. Son, when are we gonna talk? And so, did you find any news yet, Mr. News? You had a week to do this, you know that, right? A whole week.
I know, I just forgot everything.
Forgot everything. There was
Everything
something
I
else
read
you
about.
wanted to talk about. You had some great story, and then now we're not zoned.
I think it was a smelly.
Yeah, the smelly thing.
Denver.
Smelly Denver.
It was almost snuffed out.
We should just cruise around with like cars, like just walk around with something that just reeks of it, but isn't actually it.
Just throw like a pound of trim over your engine.
Or
drive
just
around.
skunks. Let's get skunks, real skunks. Let's get real skunks, and we'll just drive around, and we'll just let them blow off skunk juice everywhere. It'll be awesome. And here we go, entering the studio. Drum rolls, please.
From the
Secret world of secret things with secrets.
secret people.
It's the secret people. It's
Bum,
Dan
bum,
Decides.
bum, bum,
Let's
bum,
move
bum.
that camera. Let's get. Oh, there we go. Bam. Bam. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. No, it's too hard to explain. I had to bring you here. You know, it's one of those like everybody keeps asking, and I'm like, I don't know what I should say. I'm like, is this a secret or not?
Well, there's several parts of the competition. I mean, the first part of it is secret. All the hash makers get together to judge their competition at a secret location,
Awesome.
and that's not open to the public.
Great.
But then, after that's all done, we have a VIP party at the house where we've been doing all the judging. And then after that, Saturday is open to the public. That's where we announce the winners and have a party.
Right, and that's at the right group on I-70 in Colorado, right?
Yeah, 4800 Colorado
4800. Yeah, I
Boulevard.
didn't know the number. That's one thing. See, bam, we got you in here. Got the right number because I was just blurting out random areas. Go somewhere around there. You'll see something.
Look for the sign.
Exactly. No. So and you're expecting a bunch of people, I assume, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of people there. I mean, just our scene here in Denver is really huge, but
Yeah.
then there's people coming from out of town to come to it that have been to other ones.
Yeah.
And there's the whole Champs trade show.
I know it's crazy, right? People are like, it's what we were saying before is it's now like we're creating our own holidays, which are like week-long holidays. Like normal holidays are like a day, but everyone that we do, it's like it's a stoner holiday, so let's just make it like and then we'll jam another thing in there, and then we'll just keep tagging on, and then by the time it's done,
we're kind of like Weed Mecca, man. Everybody just like comes to Denver at some point in their.
Oh yeah, and that was the thrill for me to live in Amsterdam for so long was the fact that I felt like I was at the bottom of the cannabis funnel, So like everybody would try to get into this funnel, and eventually they'd end up at the bottom, and then there I'd be welcoming them to Amsterdam or being at the shop or them coming through, and it was just like for 20 years like that. So now to be here, it's sort of the same. It's the same feeling. It's just like it's exploded even further because there's real things going down, whereas over there it was kind of like fantasy world for 20 years. Everybody was in a fantasy. There's still a fantasy world because there's no real structure. There's the growers aren't official. Nobody has a badge. There's nothing like that. It's strictly cowboys and Indians. Get your product to the shop with a little scooter guy, and he has to get it there, and he has a little stash house, and totally illegal. Everything about it, even right to the minute it's sold, it's still kind of like quasi-legal, and then it's sold, and now it's taxed, and there you go, and that's official. It was just kind of like that's all they cared about was that little part.
I mean, surprisingly, this regulation actually lowers prices, increases availability
for sure
by just allowing people to make a profit and then properly taxing them on it.
Yeah,
everyone's just falling in line.
Yeah, no, and it's at this point it's the best model I've seen. I wish we could still. I wish the shops could buy off of smaller growers still, because I think that would increase the quality a lot better, and also the pipeline would be a little bit more flow, a little bit better, because
that's what's missing out here. It really is.
Yeah, because right now I think if and you could get approved as a grower. It wouldn't I don't think anybody would be like, hey, I don't want to be approved. I want to be totally underground. No, you just say, okay, I want to be an official grower and I want to sell to a shop. Okay, no problem. But you have to be approved, meaning you have to have you can't grow, for instance, in an apartment, in a condo where you're not supposed to grow. But if you could have official places that you could go and rent, hey, you can go rent an official industrial spot, and then you have your license and it's on your door, and you take that product and you go to the store and you sell it. I don't understand why that's so complicated when it's not. You know what I mean? And the problem is in California, they kind of take the piss out of that. You know what I mean? Because it's not regulated at all. It's just Whereas, I think if you just put that into place where people feel like they have to, have a card or something, it wouldn't be that complicated.
No, I think they could definitely get that going in California. It would cost a lot at first, but the amount of revenue they generate would be ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing is, my only reason for wanting that is, well, obviously that would get people in a situation where they could actually make some money for themselves and take care of their family. That's the key, obviously. Yeah. But on top of that, the quality would be so much better. Because
seriously,
when you grow,
I honestly get my weed from a private grower.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the way it is with all people who really love quality. Is none of us are going to dispensaries. Come on now.
There are a few dispensaries with really good weed, but
not that
the best stuff
don't have great
flies off the shelf.
Yeah,
and then
we don't have time to be
there.
Yeah, we don't have time to muscle our way in there at the right moment of the day. It's like, come on now. So in general, I think it's still. It's artisan growing, It's still
Definitely.
and that would be awesome. That would be the one thing I would think would be great if they could change it here. But besides all that, I think the model works. It definitely shows the rest of the world. The good thing about not doing that, for instance, is it definitely kept a lot of riffraff kind of growers out, because they're like, well, I got nowhere to sell this stuff, so they just want to get out. It's too complicated to find their own little thing,
I don't know, man. I think anyone who's coming out of town with entrepreneurial ideas is doing just fine.
Yeah, for sure. You can find your little niche here. That's the one good thing about Colorado too, is people are leaving each other alone for the most part,
Yeah.
And that's awesome, because that's the one thing about Amsterdam scene that was also bad, is that you just constantly and people got busted every day, all the time, and you heard about it like it was, DNA would go down once, and then I would go down, and then someone would lose a room, and then everybody would lose rooms, and it was like every time it happens, it's 10-20 grand down the tubes, plus maybe you had a contract that you can't fulfill. It's just a nightmare. It was just it was such a complicated thing, because you're always on the move too. No room stayed up for more than 2 years, because otherwise you'd get in trouble. So it was kind of like everybody just moving all, and that's why I think here I love the fact that you can relax and you can walk into a place and there's never that, looking over your shoulder or nothing. So, and
it's so much easier to throw events out here too. I mean, California, it's tough. I've had the one in LA that we threw and the one in San Francisco we threw, both of them, like a week or 2 weeks before the event was supposed to go off.
Yeah,
we lost the venue.
Right.
And we've been planning for months, and
and that just screws everything up.
It really does. It really does. But out here, you just come in, you sign a contract. Everybody's super professional. It's all, the right group is going to be awesome, because it's all going to be set up for us ahead of time.
Yeah, no, They are great to work with. They supplied us with all the tents for Carnival, and we definitely support them. They're actually bringing a tent over to our place too. So
Oh, crazy.
yeah, because I was trying to get that other one for you. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. If you guys are working with them, let's just do that because it keeps the synchronicity going. You know what I mean?
Right on.
And so I said, give me a 30 by 30 yesterday. I was like, we need it. You know. So
Awesome.
yeah,
So I actually brought someone with me. Like I don't even really know this guy, but his name's DJ.
that's cool.
What's up, DJ?
He's a first-time competitor in the Secret Cup.
Awesome. Welcome. Just talking to the mic right at the tip there. So where you from, DJ?
I'm from Woodland Park, Colorado.
Nice.
Pretty much a personal caregiver that started up my own company just for competition base, so I could enter the Secret Cup.
Awesome. When did you start that?
In April, actually, I was trying to get into Colorado Springs, but they shut it down as fast as I could get the business open. So
Yeah, I know. It's crazy here with all these moratoriums and stuff. I mean, it's like everybody's on this like wacky schedule. It's like, all right, we need a place in 48 hours. You know, it's just like, wow. So what's the name of your company?
it's called Botanical Extractions.
Okay, nice. And you guys obviously you've seen some work here?
Yeah, definitely. He made it past the initial screening process.
There you go. That's how
We've actually had to institute a screening process for it to come in because, a lot of places
they'll let everything come in.
Yeah, you pay for an entry, you're in,
Yeah.
and that's it. But
Yeah, I saw some of the
there's
stuff
so
they were
much
smoking in the
scrutiny, man.
710.
Yeah, no, and it's a good idea
There's
because
so
I
much
mean,
scrutiny with this. It really is going to hurt your business if your stuff isn't good enough for competition.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
we're going to post your residuals. We're going to post,
Yep.
your test scores as far as potency goes.
Nice.
Everyone's going to see pictures of it.
Yeah.
People are going to post their opinions about it. Hundreds of people
you
are going
think
to get to
someone's
try it.
you think someone's going to post their opinion about it? You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that is the one thing. Competitions are interesting because, like, I've been doing cannabis cups for about 20 years now, and to watch the year after year, you kind of see like patterns developing. You know what I mean? And you kind of know who's coming in and is going to lose right off the bat, and you're like, hey man, I'm sorry, but you don't understand where you are right now, because they just don't, because everybody's in their little world, and of course you're going to be your best wherever you are because you are you, and that's how life is. Everybody thinks in their own little world, this is what I do, and occasionally somebody rises above somebody else around. I didn't say rises, did I? Somebody moves ahead of somebody else,
Just
and
rips them up. Rips right by him.
and that's how this game works. But the reality is, it's really about your experience, and 100% the material. That's where it all
Yes.
comes down to. So
Yes.
if you have control of your material, so you're growing your own, or
Yes, I grow my own.
perfect. So if you grow your own material and you process it yourself, then you are definitely able to control parameters way better. Because the minute you get somebody else's material, who knows?
Yeah,
Well,
you
what
don't know
we're
what's in
seeing
it.
is these winners of these different competitions are either growing into themselves or have a really good relationship with a really good grower.
Yeah. No, and
Like in the Pacific Northwest, the winner, grew from seed, like phenotyped it out all the way to the dab. Like he did everything on it.
Nice.
He got first place.
Right. Yeah, no, and it is a lot to do with when you do stuff, it becomes very apparent. It's like when you meet somebody who's a grower, within the first 5 minutes, you pretty much kind of figure each other out. Like, you just do it naturally. You can't help it. What kind of system you running? What do you do? What kind of food do you got? Oh, okay. Then you kind of see what level they're at, and like I met some guy who had the Cannabis Cup winner from Seattle with the. He is from MTG.
MTG?
Yeah, he was at the shop yesterday.
MTG's in town?
He just left.
Just left.
What?
He just left. No. Sorry, not MTG. You're thinking of the skinny guy, MTG?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Django?
No, different guy.
Okay, I would have been hurt if that guy came to town and didn't hang out with me.
No, this is Oregon.
Oregon
guy.
Trails.
This is
Or grown, maybe?
No. Anyway, he he won. They won the cup with MTF. Is the strain they won it with.
Oh.
And they were in town checking out things. Now I lost the subject.
Wait, were they the high CBD winner?
No, they weren't. They were.
No?
They were. They were a sativa winner, I believe. But anyway, we were talking, and it was like within the. It was funny because, like, he sent me a text later. He got really baked, and he's trying to send a text to Charlie to tell him he couldn't make it to the appointment because he got really baked at my place. But he sent it to me by mistake. So I was like, "Wow, you must be really baked because you sent it to the wrong guy." You know what I mean? And then, but it was like we we actually met in Seattle for just a minute, and then when he came out here, he wanted to have a sit down, and he sent me a text, and it was just basically saying that, within 5 minutes of talking, that we had pretty much solved everything that he needed to figure out, and then that's how quick it can happen when you have the right people in the right room together, because that's kind of what it, I think when you're doing processing and learning all the processes from A to Z, to make it happen, I think then especially trial and error is huge. I mean, you want to fail, you want to not do it awesome off the first bat, because otherwise everybody's going to think it's easy, you know what I mean? And then so you want to do like couple, you want to have it process, and then if you can do it from A to Z, then I think you're a real winner in a sense when you do win, because then you can be an independent person anywhere in the world and do that again. You know what I mean? You don't have to rely on that other person to bring you the material, because that's when it becomes an issue, because all of a sudden, you're really good at what you're doing, but then you don't have the material. Well, that's the end of the game, really. So you have to have it. So that's a key. So I'm proud that you're actually doing the whole process, because I think that's really good for people who want to get in this industry and be like top dog. You know what I mean? I don't know if they can they?
Yeah. No, it's really going to be the nug runs are going to win.
Yeah.
That's what it's coming down to.
Well, you might
Whoever's able to have the best growth.
You might have to have the separate category. Then you
might
might have to do a category of nug run at some point, if that's the case. If it becomes a washout where everybody loses, that isn't.
I think
doing a nug
everybody's doing nug run at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Just about. I mean, actually, the second place from San Francisco used trim, and he was laughing his ass off about it. But it was some really true superior trim,
and I'm a firm believer that trim can actually make sometimes superior product, just because it comes off way faster and you don't have to work it so hard, because especially with water hash, especially because water hash, when you try to work with nugs on water hash, just to get in there, you're breaking it up, and while you're breaking it up, you're causing more chlorophyll to get into your product.
Well, the way people are doing stuff now, you could just grind your shit up, run it, and then de-wax it after the fact, and it'll remove the bad stuff.
That's what I'm saying, from a different point. But when you're doing, like, especially with water, because water is a little more tricky. You got to be and that's why I think with trim and water it works a lot better, because what happens is you just have to agitate it a lot less. It's two sides of a leaf. Trim, it comes off both sides, you're good. Anytime you start talking about getting in there and grinding, and forget about it. You've grinded it goes in, whoosh, green, and you're like, can't get out. It doesn't come out. It's not like you can de-wax your water. Not at the moment.
We should have some really good water hash in this competition, too.
That's awesome.
San Francisco, actually, the highest terps was also a water hash.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
No, they're very lucky, because they have they grow a lot.
Any dry sieve coming in?
No, not yet.
Not even.
Someone needs to do that at some point. But
I think that would be definitely something where, you'll get a few. You'll only get a few people, but then you're going to get the terps. I think then you're going to have full terps, because you're not washed anything out. Because usually with water, it does pull a little out. There's it's very rare that you get water that's as superior flavor to a superior. Like, there's very bad.
She used the whole plant of Eddie Lep OG for it, so
nice.
That's why it came out so nice. I imagine. I mean, it was like 6.5% terps.
Right. Awesome.
And normally the high end for this lab is 3%.
Right.
And the average is about 1%. So
wow.
For water hash, that was crazy.
That's huge. Yeah. No, and I'm a big lover of water hash for the effect. I think even more than I am for concentrates, just because it is a whole body kind of experience,
Yeah.
And you really notice the difference when people smoke concentrates. Like, I have to, what I usually do, I like to have about 3 different kinds and kind of go between them, and then it seems like it works a lot better for me. Like, if I'm sitting on one type, after a little while, it's too quickly to kind of build up tolerance or something. So
people are surprised by how much flower I smoke.
Yeah, I know.
It's mostly flour, actually. It's like 70% flour, and then the rest is it's mostly BHO, occasionally some water hash.
Shocking news here. Shocking news. No, I know that, because I remember last time we talked about that, and I think you have to stay kind of connected to the plant if you want to stay in this industry. Like, if you get too focused on just the final product and never worrying about the growing side of it all, then that's kind of where I was back to before, just because that's what creates the real winners from that's the differences, the nuances.
Definitely. I mean, what you start with totally sets your limits on how good it can possibly be.
Yeah.
And then
It's
like
like getting
after
clones.
that, it's like up to you, but you can't really go past that mark. You know?
It's like getting clones from somebody, and you're like, you can grow it to a certain point, but there's really like only a certain point. I mean, you're not going to make it to like where people can't recognize it. They're going to be like, yeah, you did good, and it's like, God, you want to hear more than that. You want to hear, I've never seen anything like that. What is that? That's of course the idea most people are going for. But I think, by staying connected to the flower, you will create a superior product in the end. So I'm glad to see that you you're not calling it pre-run at this point.
I won't. I never will. I still
Thank
call
you.
it flowers, but
Yes, that's the Cali term that we definitely don't appreciate it around here too much. It's like pre-run, huh?
You got some nice pre-run there.
And that just shows you.
Wow, that's going to make some amazing oil.
Exactly, I know, and that is the funny part is that's how people. We are lucky enough that we are in a situation here, like for instance at a MIPS, where you grow and process your own. You have to use the whole plant, so it's like there's no options. You know what I mean? So that's an unfortunate yet beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And when I'm producing seeds, I enjoy the fact that I don't have to manicure anything. I just dry it, and then I crunch them all up. And I get all my seeds out, and then I have something to run from that. So that is a bonus, in my opinion. But it's also like, it's a shame because I can't really enjoy the flower the way I should because it's all seeded. But it's really satisfying to take beautiful buds and just crush them up. I'll tell you, that is one of those, you never get a chance to do that because you're so delicately handling these things all the time. You're like, and then just to be able to go in and it's pretty awesome. It's like therapy. It's pure therapy, And you get some awesome resin on your fingers, and you're just like, this is a great job, And actually, what I've been doing lately, because
I'm worried about smoking someone else's finger hash, though.
I definitely don't do that. No, that's not a good
Smoke
idea.
your
You're
own.
just DNA.
Yeah.
You're smoking their DNA.
Right.
It's like great. It's not a good thing. It's
It'd be
not
like using
vegan.
someone else's toothbrush or something.
It's not vegan. And that's how I tell people. I'm sorry, I'm vegan. I can't be smoking your DNA over there. That is, I'm breaking rules. I'm going into the animal kingdom at this point. And the worst one, the humans. That's the last animal you want to eat. Probably would be a human. Do you know that humans are considered toxic waste now? Actually, like when you die, you cannot be buried in your backyard. Like if you wanted to go, hey, I want to bury in my backyard. Nope, that's toxic waste. You can't do that.
Wow.
EPA will come and fine you. So because we are leaching just toxic chemicals that when we die, we are definitely loaded with preservatives and all sorts of antibiotics and things that don't break down, and they just like, whoa, hey, none of that around here. So that's kind of interesting factoid here. We are all toxic waste, just kind of bubbling around. But yeah, it's a pretty rough assessment. Imagine what it'll look like when they start to excavate and they have like fake tits, and it's going to be like, oh, what the hell happened here? There's like two boobs left in the middle of some skeleton, it's like something. It's going to be crazy, dude. They're going to be like, what is this thing over here? And little weird prosthetic things and internal stuff. Crazy stuff.
I don't think they'll excavate us, bro. I think they'll just.
I hope not. I hope they just incinerate
Put
us.
it all in a big pile and burn it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We're gonna be the future gas.
Yeah, no, and so now tell me about how you're going to work together with Nika on this event. You guys are having buses going back and
we're
forth?
actually not working together on it.
Okay.
We're just,
I thought you guys had buses and stuff. I heard
my
buses.
event's ending by 10. His event is starting at 8:30.
Okay, that's
and,
cool.
We have a lot of the same people going to each event, so we
Right.
just decided to make it easier on them.
Yeah, no,
And,
that's cool because that's what that was one of the things I was saying earlier. I enjoy the fact that you guys do work a bit together on that, so that it doesn't turn into just like,
Yeah.
oh, we're all in the same, like we're all within a mile of each other, but hey, didn't see you. Sorry, especially when we're all, especially coming in from out of town and stuff. It's awesome that people get a chance to go, hop from one event to the other.
Yeah, and it's actually, like you said, going to be a whole week of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, no,
you
I
know,
love
the
it.
champs parties that are going to be out here.
Yeah.
A lot of big people in the industry are coming out to.
Yeah, and
the champs,
I've
so-
invited a bunch of people out. I will probably bring a few of them on to the next show next week because it's going to be that kind of a week where
Nice.
so many characters are coming. But yeah, I've invited a whole bunch of people because I really want them to see where we're at in Colorado because, like I was saying earlier too, that in January I think we're gonna all gonna be working so hard that we're not gonna have a chance to do these little events as much, or we're gonna have to be like, there's just millions and millions of people coming, and we're not. I mean, I really am. I'm slightly afraid of the fact that we're going to run out of weed probably around January 2nd. That's the way I see it. I mean, there's so many people coming.
No, I mean, all that's going to happen is the stuff that's already in town is going to just stay in town. I mean, you know.
Yeah, no, it is good, but it is going to be a mass amount of people coming who are. I mean, every hotel is booked. You know that. Like every hotel, January 1st is booked in Denver right now, and that's never happened before. So that's a good indication that there's a hell of a lot of people coming who think they're going to all come, go roll straight down to the store and buy their cannabis. And I don't know how big those lines are going to be, but they're going to be huge.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be crazy. It's
going to be putting so much money back in the community too.
Oh, for sure. And that is the smart way to do stuff. I think if you're if you want to be accepted in the community, which we all do, that's our part of our strive in life, is just to be accepted. But if you really want to, the best thing to do is to give back locally to whoever's
talking about being accepted, man. What's up with the Denver City Council trying to pass like?
Oh, they're crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see that. But wow.
I don't know. I think someone's.
I mean, it just seems like racism to me, to be honest.
I was going to say, I don't think it's constitutional, and I think it definitely will be struck down in court.
It better be.
It's just like
that's ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense. It's one of those things where someone got a hair up their ass on this one and was like, well, if they think they're going to be so smart, and if they think that they're going to, how about throwing something else at us? But I was saying earlier too that we are the most adjustable people in the world. I mean, you can take a big.
Oh, we're still going to smoke.
Oh, nothing's going to change. You know what I mean? Nothing's going to change. And the reality
I just want to be
is,
able to smoke at parties. What's so bad about that?
Yeah, and I don't think that is ever going to be an issue, in my opinion. And if it does, like I said, it will be struck down.
Yeah.
It's just like it's another one of these things where they want to throw a roadblock out there, and but we're moving too quick.
But what's the purpose? Like, we're going to entice children into the lifestyle by the smell, or people just find it offensive? I mean, if they find it offensive, I mean, they should really ban cigars too, because
that's way more offensive.
No one on earth is going to say that a cigar is worse.
Cigars will clear a whole patio.
Yeah, seriously,
for sure.
I think a great protest would be just like to send everybody out there with a bunch of cigars, completely legal, and just like smoke out the Capitol with that, and
just so hard to smoke those cigars.
I mean, don't inhale, for God's sake.
You just throw them in a bucket and blow.
Just light them up and.
Yeah, we just have auto smokers out there, like little mechanical smokers that just. None of us want to actually touch these things and put them in our lungs. We have our mechanical.
Weed actually smells good. You can smoke weed in a house all weekend long.
Yeah,
and then air it out for an hour, and it's like it never happened.
Exactly, and that's what they don't understand, and that's what also pisses me off with hotels when they give you a fine, because I'm like, are you kidding me? Because tobacco is lingering and it sticks to everything.
If you're coming to town, stay at the Warwick. They have balconies. It's no thing.
Yeah, no, Warwick's definitely. I think they were probably the first hotel that was sold out. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they were the very first one sold out, because everybody's telling everybody from day one.
At the Warwick, they have some weird, freaky shit going on there. I know that for sure.
No, they do for sure, and they'll throw a thing in your room and keep it. They even throw air filters and stuff in there, like if you request. So that's pretty dope. But I think the key for this whole ordinance thing is the fact that people just got to get used to the reality and understand that what may be offensive to one guy on Capitol Hill is not offensive to like millions of people out here. And then no one seems to have a problem down where I'm at in Rhino District. There's grows everywhere. People smell weed all the time. No big deal. You know, there's certain days of the week where it smells so strong down there.
Oh, when that pig ear factory goes off.
Yeah, the pig ear factory is a way worse smell.
Oh, it smells so bad.
Have you ever,
there's like slaughterhouses up by me. I'm not too far from Rhino either.
Those places
and they burn
so
the blood, late at night. Like all the blood just collects from that. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, no,
that is makes you want to go vegan. You just go out there and smell that, man.
That is offensive. Yeah, and that's the thing is, I thought it was the Purina dog factory when I first moved into the Hood Lab, but then I realized, oh, no, it's the pig guy down the road, because they wrote an article in Westward about it. And it is, it smells like death, pure death, and it's, if that, and they have thousands of complaints, and they're still running. So how can they have thousands of complaints, and now we're talking about one complaint, and you're going to get a year in jail and $999 fine, and And I was just also saying earlier, to me that's all scare tactics. It's like whenever somebody puts a sign up that says $10,000 fine if you stand in the wrong line, or whatever, you're like, well, if you say one wrong thing in signing this document, you will be 10 years in jail. That kind of stuff is real American. That's like America. In Europe, you never see something that says you will go to jail if you just don't see it. It's very rare. Maybe if it's something like super security orientated or something, but they're not just that. They don't just flagrantly throw out, like I was saying earlier, the mattress tags, the $10,000 fine or up to 10 years in jail if you remove this tag. Now, obviously, it's not for the consumer; it's for the guy selling it. But still, as a kid, I used to see that and be like, "Whoa, $10,000 Shaka. Yeah, exactly. Tear arouse things right out, So, but in general, it's like I think it's a scare tactic, and I don't think it's going to work. And I think it's a little bit of a knee-jerk idea, like, we're going to get back at these little stony balonies. That's just how they think. They don't have there's no compassion.
It's just kind of mean, dude.
Yeah,
it really is.
Come on, little compassion, people.
Like, come on, literally, that's not going to be bothering anybody.
No, not at all. And if anything. Compared to burning pig ears in blood, I'd say it would be a bonus probably for most neighborhoods.
Because think about it. If you don't like the smell, you could ask them, "Hey, could you grow something a little more hazy?" And then the whole neighborhood smells nice.
Yeah, or invest in more carbon filters. I mean, that's the one thing is I think a lot of people now are just like, well, it's legal, who cares? And they don't need a carbon filter. It saves me $200. But it depends on the situation. If you live in a really tight community with a lot of kids and people, and you better not to stink them all out. I mean, I'd try not to.
Yeah, and let's be real here. I mean, that's just setting up a red flag to anyone who's trying to rob you. I mean, they just follow their nose.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you want to be smart about it, just like take a bit more energy and put a carbon filter on that. That's about as simple as that is. But the smoking part is the part that is ridiculous. That's the part that makes it like, well, it's pretty easy for someone to say they smelled something because it's sort of like someone telling you they got a backache. I can't get into your back. I don't know whether you have a backache, but I can't get into your head and know if you smelled something too. And if you see me smoking, you can say you smelled it because it's pretty obvious it smells like something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that it means you actually even smelled it. All you'd have to do is think somebody's smoking and you can report it as you're smelling it. And then, and I don't think the cops are going to be, hopefully they understand the stupidity of this too, and they use their brains a little bit. And if they don't really smell it like it's crazy,
I've never had a problem with weed and cops in the city in the 3 years I've lived out here.
Yeah,
I really think it's due to the fact that
I only had it at the airport once where he was like, I was picking somebody up, and then he kind of rolled up to tell me to move and was like, "Whoa, whoa," and I was all, "Whoa." And we just kind of got that moment where we looked at each other, "Whoa, whoa." He's like, "You better just keep going." But we didn't really get any further than that. But it was just he was shocked at the pungency of it all because I was just like, "Whoa, yeah, I'm just picking a friend up, no biggie,"
Yeah.
But that was it, and that's at the airport. I mean, if you can't get hassled at the airport, then you're not really good at getting hassled because that's the easiest place to get hassled. I'll tell you, as far as moving your car, you're like, my God, I've been here for 1/100th of a second. I've just pulled up. I'm like, go, like, come on, common sense. It's that common sense thing.
Yeah.
Airports are I think airports are a good indicator of where life is going. And if you go to the airport and you don't like the situation there, then you're probably not going to like the future because I think that's kind of how a lot of the future is going to be because it's more like everything's automated. You go up, you just boop a doop doop. Don't talk to anybody. Throw your bag. Like in Europe, you don't even give your bag to a person anymore. You just put your bag. It goes zzz, opens up, and you put your bag in, zzz, closes, and then you go. So it's like it's all automated. There's one guy running 20 booths. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, it seems to be the future. You know what I mean? It's like. And then you kind of go into the supermarket and you're like, hey, the supermarket's starting to look a little bit like the airport, And then maybe the car dealer is going to look like the airport. You're going to walk up, hi, you need a new car? And I'm not going to talk to you anymore because it's not worth it. We can't afford, everybody comes in, wastes our time. So we have one guy and Bob the computer. So, so I get that vibe. Every time I'm traveling, I'm always like, ooh, this is the future. I don't like the future very much. It's all malls and it's all like shopping malls and security checks, That's kind of what I envision. Hopefully we'll change that. Hopefully that won't be Colorado, but that will be many places, I'm sure.
I don't really have a big problem with TSA. They don't really care about my weed. So
no, lately they've been really, really cool. That's been one of the coolest things about Colorado.
They have been getting paid the last week, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be more worried about them stealing my weed than anything really at this point. Just because I think that I don't think they're ever going to get in trouble for it, but I definitely think. Since they're letting it all go through, they must be checking it out.
Yeah.
And if I was working for TSA and I looked at your weed, I'd be actually more interested in the quality of your weed more than anything. Like, say, what are you traveling with today, sir? Oh, this looks really good.
Swag, gotta throw this out.
This one looks a little too liquidy. We may have to take this. thank you. So, I mean, who know? I mean, and it's amazing because of the fact that we're talking about like organic materials that are pretty hard to identify really in a quick nanosecond. You know what I mean? Like brown gooey glop. You know what I mean? And that seems like crazy stuff that they actually let on, but they do. So I mean, and thank God they do, because it's actually much easier to do these cups now and stuff. Because imagine if they couldn't get from A to B as easy as they could.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, in Europe, it's always been a sketchy thing because of the fact that you're traveling through borders and stuff. But I have a medical card from Holland, and Holland is the only place in Europe that had medical. And one of the benefits was that you could travel with your weed all around Europe.
Uh-huh.
You just had to report it before you went. So that was a little tricky. So it was like, do you want to say, hey, I'm coming up and I've got, my month supply of cannabis, which I think my prescription over there was 10 grams and at a time. And it was like basically a two to 3 day sort of prescription, and it was like, but it was up to me how I wanted to work it. So I could justify 10 grams every 3 days. So pretty good amount of weed that I could bring with me if I was going to travel around, especially if you turn it into hash, because then it's even more valuable and more worth it. And that's pretty much what I would always travel with, and then they never questioned me. But it was interesting, the fact that you could actually go to Sweden and these countries that were super duper tight, like the tightest, and it was like could go to any Schengen country, and the Schengen countries are the ones that agreed on a treaty, the Schengen Treaty. So it's like everywhere except for the UK, because the UK didn't sign, so they're not Schengen, but everywhere else is. So you could travel everywhere except for the UK and in Europe, which is awesome. I mean, that was like that opened doors for a whole lot of people. Like, so Soma got a card right away, and every seed company owner had a card. Like everybody that I knew who had a seed company in Amsterdam, we all had our card. And then the rest, most of the public just didn't. It was only maybe 1,000 patients, for the whole.
Really? So they just didn't even bother?
Nobody cared. I mean, it was like kind of like one of those like, why would you go do that? And it's like, well, because now we're protected by the fact that this is a medical thing, And it was like no one kind of really saw that as being interesting at all, And it was. But it worked over there many more times than I'd have to say that I even had to use it over here, because like at festivals I would be rolling in and I'd be smoking a joint or something, and a cop would come and hassle me, and I'd show them the thing, and they'd never ever none of them had ever seen that, so they'd be like, whoa, because it comes in an official medical jar, like if you bought, like just like if you got any drug, like they just actual thing. So it's like you're pulling out your drugs, and they're like, whoa, what is this? And you're like, you show it to them, cannabis, and then you show them the card, and they're like, whoa, okay, here you go, And that was an awesome feeling, because I mean, not that you're getting so.
Well, it's usually not the police at a festival. It's like private security usually, right?
Not in Holland though. Holland they have real.
Okay.
This is like motorcycle cops who just cruise up and down and check everybody, make sure they're not dealing drugs or whatever. So
Gotcha.
the security's pretty tight over there. Actually, you'd be surprised. It's tight but different. Like over here, it's all about presence, and over there, it's all about like just a dude on a bike comes up to you and bam, you're like, oh, didn't even see you, like, whereas here it's all about like in your face and blind you with as many lights as possible, it's key to the whole thing. Make sure you blind them, put them into an epileptic fit. It's like you get pulled over and you're just like, wow, what is going on here, dude? I'm
excited about going to Amsterdam for November.
I was just saying, I am not going to be going to Amsterdam.
What?
Yes, this is the first
My
time.
first one, and you're not going to be there?
First time in 21 years, and I'm not going to be there. No, I mean, we have a lot going on here, and I kind of want to let my partners and back home feel a little bit of how it, without me there, just see how it goes. I mean, hopefully it'll go fine, but I do know that it's like, it's hard for me to not go because I've been doing it for so long, but at the same time, how many cups have we done in between that cup? It's like, wow, another cup. Oh, this is the cup. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to be cool I'm going to do exactly like Matt Stang does every year. He always has everybody walk around with the iPad with him all day. So that's going to be my job. Somebody's going to have to walk around with an iPad all day. So maybe you want me to, can I hang out with you?
Yeah, that's a big commitment there, man.
You just gotta hang around.
I'm going for the absinthe too, so
hey, I'll hang out with you at the absinthe bar also.
that might trip me out.
You'd be like, hey, how's Adam doing? And hey, there he is. Just pull me out of your pocket every so often and talk to me. It'll be fun. Do you have an iPad?
I don't have an iPad yet.
Maybe I'll let you borrow mine even for the trip.
Okay.
just for that alone.
I don't know. I'm kind of worried about that. It's, like European hustlers stealing all my stuff at the airport. Does that always happen?
No, it's not so bad like that. Don't
It's
you?
not?
No.
Okay.
You'll be fine. Actually, the airport is really safe. Like I was saying earlier, it's the most safe place in the world. Not really, but it is definitely. It's more hustly than America for sure, but they've really taken out that whole element because when I first moved there, you couldn't get down. I mean, it was just like, you're like beating them off with sticks and psst, 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 hey, hash Coke trips everywhere you went, you know what I mean? And like now, those guys are gone. Like it's really cleaned up to the point where it's a little bit bummer, it's a little bit like, come on now. Like New York was back in the day. It was like, wow, New York was New York. And then now it's like you go there and it's like, doodly doo, you go, M&Ms are dancing in the street, and it's like, this is not New York. There's not, what is this crap? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a bunch of Nestle sponsored Mars bar MTV crap in Times Square. When I was in Times Square when I was a kid, you go there to buy switchblades or score weed or stuff like that, and it was all porno everywhere, and you were like, this is great, I love this place. And I'd hit that place. I was 14 years old. I'd be running around I'd try to buy a switchblade. I end up buying a Snickers bar because the guy would scam me. That's the classic. Hey kid, do you want to buy a switchblade? Yeah. And then he'd drop a Snickers bar in a box with a knife box, and drop it into your bag. And yeah, that's an undercover cop over there. Gotta go. And then I get into the subway and open it up and like, damn, Snickers bar. Like, I got hustled, So that's what Times Square was about back in the day. Now you can't get hustled for a Snickers bar in there, even if you tried. You'd be like, damn.
That's kind of
like, and that's kind of like Amsterdam too. It's like if you really wanted to go there on the search of like stepping over junkies, like it was when I first got there, and like, oh, sorry, and they're all just jacking up in the street, and it was a bit overkill, like crazy in your face, but you definitely weren't joining up. Like that looks like fun, you know what I mean? So in a way, I think it was a great way to keep people from doing hard drugs, because you'd go to Amsterdam and you'd see all these people on hard drugs, and it wasn't like you went home and said, that's what I want to do. You went home and were like, the weed was the best part, and this was the best, so it kind of gave you a reality check. And now the weed is the seedy part, because there's no more seedy part. So it's kind of lame, they've taken away the seediness and turned it into the coffee shops are now the seediest thing in town, and even the red light district, you'll be surprised, half of it's gone, and they've taken out the ladies and replaced them with art. Yeah. It's not even good art. It's like student art. It's crap, and you're like, what is this? You're like, you think people come down here to look at student art? I don't think so. I really think they're down here for other reasons, So it's kind of wacky. It's definitely losing the original
group of Japanese businessmen gathering up all their yens around one girl.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah. That's what my friend showed me a video of. He just watched them as they're all counting out money to buy this big blonde girl.
Oh, I saw it with the big black girl one time too, and it was really really funny because it was like, we were standing on the bridge watching, and it was like same deal, like 3 Japanese guys, really small, and they were all bargaining with this one lady, and she was looking at them like, all 3 of you, and they're like shaking her head, and it was like you could just read all, because I mean obviously they didn't speak much English, and she didn't probably speak too much Japanese, so it was a lot of sign language going on there, and so it was pretty fun to watch. It was like definitely like, wow, that's some pretty major action. And then when they shut the door, then your mind raced, and you're like, wow, what is going on in there? It's like kind of like they're just diving off the thing onto her and bouncing off. You can already see it. They were so small and she was so big. There was some crazy stuff going on there. Okay, I would kind of like to see it, but kind of not. I don't know.
I've never been into that kind of male bonding.
No, that's a pretty rough one. Yeah, that was it. And no, but do you have? So where are you staying when you're out there? You got some good spot?
My friend has a condo.
Awesome. Yeah, Amsterdam's experiences can be so many different levels depending on where you stay. Like houseboat is recommended.
Oh, this guy is tied in.
Good.
So I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Definitely.
What's his name, by the way?
Lorenzo.
I don't know Lorenzo.
He's a good dude.
Good. No, you have to have a little bit of a guide. It's like kind of like Vegas, If you go to Vegas and you think you can do it all.
He's been living out there for years.
You can do it all on your own. You're probably not correct, because there's so many layers to those places, and to be able to go in and have the right sort of contact always makes an experience way better. That's why everybody's bummed I'm not going, because I think I was going to go do some sort of like tour guide for them. I'm like,
you should literally charge for that.
I would definitely have to. I mean, it's torture for me half the time. It's like, wow. Going back in time. Here we go.
I mean, people will pay for an enhanced experience. Like, here at the Secret Cup, we
Yeah.
were selling VIP packages for like $250 and we sold out.
Really awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
But they kind of get to meet all of
Yeah.
the hash makers, and
Yeah.
they're really stoked on that. Like, because a lot of these hash makers have a really big following. Like, they see the pictures on Facebook or Instagram. And,
Sure.
That's what they're into is really good hash. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like all my friends back on the East Coast, all they know about dabs is what they follow on Instagram, and they don't know how to do it properly. They
Right.
just look on Instagram, like, oh, look at this shot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a cultural phenomenon. I
Yeah.
love it. And
Well, what
I
I'm
like
trying to do with this whole Secret Cup thing is just establish some kind of star power for concentrate makers. So,
Right.
We keep these good wages we're making, and
Sure.
aren't
Well, yeah, people got to
just marginalized
understand.
out.
People got to understand that it is an intense amount of work. A lot of intellectual property situations are also
For sure.
involved, and that's.
And I'm just sick of the hash makers getting fucked over. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's-
not many people know this, but the person who made the entry that won the Cannabis Cup this last year in Denver
Yeah.
now works for me.
Right. Nice.
Because, it didn't really go so well for him at his company.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times people don't get it. Like, I mean, sometimes people focus too much on competition, and
Yeah.
sometimes they don't understand.
I think
what it
competition
do.
can call us higher if we have a sense of honor.
Yeah,
And,
no, it's a
that's
hard.
another
It's,
principle of what we're doing.
it's a very fine line and hard thing to ride on because of the fact that you're dealing with a lot of emotions a lot of times too,
Yeah.
because people put everything into their work, right? So of course it's
I'm always so afraid when I announce the
losers?
winners. I'm gonna be like, man, I'm gonna have a bunch of people hating me, but it's never the case because of the way we have it structured.
yeah, no, I love the way that you guys make it so that you enter and you receive at the same time. I think that's
Yeah.
huge. I think that shows a much better,
I was trying to think, how could I get the most unbiased judges in the world?
exactly.
And I was like, okay, if they're judging their competitors, I mean, they're not going to hook up a single one of them
Right.
with the inflated score.
Right.
And at the end of it all, you've tried the person that beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, you can say, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, and or you can bitch about it for the rest of your life. So it's perfect.
Yeah, the first one we did was a little rough around the edges, like last December.
Uh-huh.
But I think we really got the process dialed in now.
Yeah, and I mean, it is one of those things. I'm proud of you to be able to take this on and keep it rolling too, because it's sometimes to do a one-off event is one thing, but to keep it going like you're doing and go state by state.
This is the last regional right here.
And then doing and having these different politics involved and having to deal with different kinds of police or different kinds of issues
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. It's really admirable. But on top of that, I think the key to the whole thing is the fact that you are trying to show that these people who are making hash actually, deserve to have a place in the sort of like place in the sun, basically. And I think one of the things, because I started making hash in '93, and I was really lonely back then. I didn't have very many people who even understood what I was doing. I was making dry sieve, and then I was making my little coins, and I was doing my little laminate pages, and I was, so. And I really didn't, and I had this feeling back then. It was funny because I used to take my hash and I would laminate it. That was like my little signature thing, because if you take a laminator, it's heat and pressure at the same time, and then you
Yeah.
use cellophane to keep it from sticking. And in the cellophane, you have to use this natural cellophane, so it has you have to find that, and it's like very hard. It's actually almost impossible to find here in America. I'm like having a really hard time to get. I can find it, but in the wrong shape. I need it. I just need it flat. I don't need all these little, pouches. And
I've actually seen those cards back in the day.
Oh, for sure. I hope you do it.
It was a great idea. You'd have what was it, like Bible verses or like they were like horoscopes, right?
No. I don't know. Maybe somebody ripped me off. It sounds.
They
like
probably
that.
ripped you off.
Yeah.
then.
No. What I would do is.
But you like cut it open and then just like slide out a
Slide out.
patty of hash. It was awesome.
Exactly. No, but my whole key was that it was funny. I was sitting in my shop at CIA '93, and I was making hash back then, right? So that I had hash. And then I had this laminator for making IDs because we were doing that for our shop. And then I was sitting there, and I kept kind of glancing back and forth, like looking at the laminator, looking at the hash, looking at the laminator, looking at the hash. But wait a minute. That's pressure and heat. I need to press, because I've been pressing my hash all different ways with book presses and making my own little things. And then I went out and bought some angle irons and some square pieces, and I was just trying to figure it all out, but it would always squidge out the sides, and it was never like it didn't have enough presentation. It was always like a big blob of nothing. So I was kind of like, I want to make this stuff pretty, I'm looking for that. And then the crazy part is that when I would make the laminated hash, because we would press it on both sides and heat it up on both sides so that it would come out shiny on both sides. And we have a call coming in. well, okay, in a sec. It would come out shiny on both sides, and the higher quality stuff, like would be completely see-through. So it was basically just like shatter looks today, except 20 years ago. And so you can imagine how mind-blown people were because they didn't understand how it got to that form. You know, so they were like, once they pulled it out, and it's even awesome. Even the most, I'd say the best part was, so first I'm pressing it and making it flat, but then after I realized, well, these backstage passes that I always have are, you cut them in half and there's a little pouch inside, you know? So then you slide it inside there, close the end. So whenever bands would come into town, I would hook them up, and they would hook me up. So it was pretty awesome. They would come in, and I would give them their loaded laminates, and they'd give me 10 regular laminates for my friends, and we'd all hit the festival or do whatever we had to, and it was a nice trade. So like Cypress Hill and Deftones and all these people that came through, they would know, like, oh, give Adam a call, boom. So to this day, if you talk to any of those people, they're like, oh yeah, the laminates, of course, you know, because that was, to them, it was like the best like backup plan, because if they went on tour all around Europe, they usually save them until they hit like Russia or somewhere, and they'd be like on the mountain in Russia calling me up. We're in a round in Russia. We just opened them up, you know, and it's like awesome to see, because it was like the best quality hash that you could do, and you only have about a gram or two at a time. So how do you preserve it the best? And this was a good way to preserve it, because it would be pressed, sealed, and you know you could pretty much label it and file it. You know, you didn't have to worry about it oxidizing or getting any light to it or anything. So it's kind of like an all-in-one packaged deal. So you'll be seeing those again in Colorado, I'm sure, at some point.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're legendary, I think, is the word.
Man, if I made water hash, I would have already done them.
Yeah, but actually, I have one on my wall in the shop. I need to get it sent out here because it was from '93 also, and it was a $1 bill that I had $2 bills that I'd pressed the 5 grams of hash in between, and then I chopped them up into little squares, and then I spread them out onto a picture. So my idea was that it was so illegal in America at that point, because I'd taken dollar bills and chopped them up. So I'm in jail already for that. Like, I'm in trouble right now. Bam. Plus they loaded it with hash, so you're really in trouble. And I thought, this is like some art that you can only have in Amsterdam. That was my idea. So never sold it. Still got it, bubblegum hash from '93. So it would be pretty interesting. It's like in case of emergency.
It's like literally anything that was in those dollar bills is just soaked in the hash, though.
Gross. Yeah.
Right?
I was never actually intentionally about to smoke the hash. It was pretty much it was a symbol, and it was really good hash too. But it was a symbol to the world that like I had made my sort of stake there. And I don't know. Does that mean I'm the original hash artist? Ooh. No, I don't want to. I'm not claiming. But it was. But it is an art. It is a thing when you are making it. You realize that you're actually going back into time, and you're kind of like you're doing traditional things. Even if you're doing it in a super scientific way that we're doing it nowadays, it's just alchemy, and we're just all playing around with our ideas and trying to make something. You're trying to make gold out of straw. That's what we're doing. And by golly, we did it.
Yeah, it's even easier to make gold out of gold, though.
Oh, it is. I mean, that is true. But for sure, if you compare, at the end, when you've really worked a product properly, it's straw at the end. Whatever's left over is straw. Yeah. And you've taken out the goods, So in a way, we have Rumpelstiltskined this whole industry from the ground up, because the people, the whole analogy of things don't grow, money doesn't grow on trees. We blew that out of the water years ago. Now we're actually going even more further back, and we're going to blow that whole Rumpelstiltskin story out of the water.
Cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, as it's produced more and more.
Yeah.
So we'll just be spending that money that we would have been spending on weed on something else.
True. I mean, and I think also the next few years you're going to see an explosion of products that are going to come out. Is going to be ridiculous. It's going to
CBD is going to be an additive in just about everything, I imagine.
I know, and it's we were talking earlier about all the children that are coming here to Colorado to be treated with CBD, and how hundreds of families have moved here now already. It's it's moving. It's definitely gonna. The dynamics of this whole industry are changing in that sense, with CBD coming to the forefront, concentrates making their place, being almost surpassing flowers in some places, which is crazy.
It has surpassed flowers in most places.
Yeah, it has. But
I mean, if you're in the scene at all, if you're into smoking weed,
for sure. No, and I was telling people who are from out of town, I know shops that are doing 70-30 right now. They're more concentrates. So that's pretty surprising in my opinion. But it just shows you how in a 2-year gap, it's only been a few years too. I mean, before 3 years ago when we started this the lab, I mean, it was still very like Derek was saying the other day, we probably wouldn't even smoke what we were smoking back then. We'd be like, oh no, sorry bro, I don't do that, and it's like now we've evolved in 3 years to some other level where we don't, like personally I don't smoke butter too much. I've never, almost never, it's just not in my.
Well, it's kind of funny with butter though. Despite what everybody was saying about shatter being cleaner, it's simply not the case. It's much harder to get shatter completely purged of its ppms than butter is.
Yeah.
You could take butter from like start to finish in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's done.
Right.
And the residuals are low, and
Well,
everybody who makes butter thinks there's some master for having low ppms, but
yeah, it's just because
it works that way for everybody.
It's kind of because I think it's because also everything is opened up there, and when you whenever you're creating shatter, you're actually sealing it in.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's like a sarcophagus to the things that are in there, and if you can just get them out before it seals it all up, you're good. But if you come in too quick, come too hot or whatever, there's always a possibility of.
I mean, it just comes to get
more.
all the bad stuff out and like keep all the terps in, and then I don't think it really matters what the final form is.
Sure,
but as far
everybody
as,
has
like,
their
looks
preference, of
and
course.
Stuff,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, people
shatter wins.
People love sexy looking hash, of
Right.
course. Who doesn't, right?
I love sexy looking hash.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But it's sometimes a disappointment when the flavor's not there, and you're like, it was so good up until that. It's kind of, a little burn or something. It's always a disappointment. But at the same time, even though butter has maybe more terps, it's something about it's not about the actual front end of it. It's about the back end of the thing that makes me go like I don't know. There's something that I don't like about it. It's everyone has their own personal preference.
No, I like shatter better too, man. Trust me. But yeah,
and
if we're talking about simple cleanliness and like someone doing this at home maybe or doing this on their own,
yeah.
Like if you don't have the equipment for shatter,
Choose butter, yeah.
Just whip it and get all the butane out, so you're not going to kill yourself or anyone else with it.
True that. We definitely don't want, and that is the key to the whole thing about concentrates. Is safety is a really important thing.
Yeah.
So we
don't blast inside.
Don't blast inside.
Don't blast inside. Don't blast inside. We need to do like a song. Come on, let's do something. We tried. We almost did it. Don't blast inside.
Just end every show with remember, kids. If you're gonna make PHO,
yeah, exactly.
don't blast indoors.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, luckily, Colorado has been pretty good about it. I haven't seen too much. It's like Cali seems to always be in the headlines, and then there's other states too. But Colorado, luckily, because I think they have access to the quality, so it's like most people have figured out. It's like beer. Like we don't. Most of us don't brew beer at home because it's a pain in the butt. But a lot of us like to drink beer. So the fact that we're not home brewing just because it's like it's not easy. It's a multi-step process, and it usually doesn't come out necessarily better than than what you can buy. So I think that's where we are in Colorado. People have that ability to buy it. So once they've tried it, they have no desire to waste time trying to make an inferior product that doesn't taste as good as that one,
Yeah.
And it's disappointing at best if you do that. So I mean, it's for sure.
I see us going in the way of safety, though. I mean, there's a big pickup in the manufacturing of closed loop systems.
Oh yeah.
And I've actually experienced and learned some tech while I was out in California.
Makes it.
That you can absolutely make stuff just as good with a closed loop if you have the right kind of closed loop and do the right things to it,
right?
As regular shatter for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's
open loop system.
I think a lot of.
I don't think it was true until now, until the last few months. But like everyone's figured it out, with
that's good.
all the other developments kind of happen in the community.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear because I mean it is interesting to see that the lower tech ways of doing it still make superior product at this point, like you're saying, maybe not, maybe changing.
I think it's all changed now, and I think this new closed loop. It's going to get out,
Right.
So
but I think part of it is
I'm going to try to run with it for a few months, and then it'll just be out, and everybody will know how to do it.
Exactly. No, and I think that is the way this industry works. It's like there's always going to be new innovative things, and that's what I love about it because it doesn't stand still.
Even old innovative things that just didn't get popular at the time, like the Butter King. Have you heard of him up in Canada?
I have actually.
Yeah. So he has this particular method that he uses. He's totally shared it. It's been published in High Times. But I'm actually going to have Kenneth Morrow, Kay from Trichrome Technologies, come out and do a seminar in a couple months.
Nice.
And he's going to teach everybody that's out here that wants to pay for the class exactly how to do it the pro way.
Right.
So you could, recycle all your alcohol, use grain spirits, and make, really good butter.
Sure.
That it's no butane at all. Like just about a zero carbon footprint. You're not throwing away cans. You're not letting anything off in the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the only disappointing part about the whole game is that, here we have found this method of consuming cannabis, and it's awesome.
Still, though, keep in mind, man, like butane is gasoline is 3 times as bad as butane just in its raw form if we evaporate it in the air and we burn it.
Sure.
So
I'm not even talking about that. It's more the cans and the wastage.
the
and
cans.
That
Yeah.
kind of
I use N-butane, so I don't have to worry about the
right.
cans.
So that
but-
kind of bummed me out in the long run, just because you see that like a lot of times people, you know, I was about to move into a building and it was like, you know, hey, what's going on in here? And then you're like cans everywhere, and you're just like, come on, guys, you can't even like, you know, get them out the door. You gotta like push the door open and you can barely get in there, and it's just like hoarding of empty things. Probably the most dangerous thing too in the world.
You know,
like
one thing they need to do is there's this like thing called a can cracker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can pop all of your butane cans and then you can legally throw them away.
Yeah, no, you need.
But
to
if they're under pressure and you're
Yeah.
throwing them away, you're like straight up breaking the law and you're doing something
For sure.
dangerous for
sure.
everybody.
yeah, because they many times incinerate things, so it's like great, you got
Boom, 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 boom,
1,000
boom.
cans
Like,
going
yeah.
into an incinerator. I'm sure that's not a good thing.
Or even just like getting crushed down. I mean, if there's enough cans in there that, you know, you didn't, because like now people are like, okay, the last few seconds of the tank, as soon as it changes the sound, I'm going to
Yeah.
stop and like
Yeah.
leave that stuff in there because that's like propellant and other
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, right. Like it didn't
So, like,
get mixed
every
up.
one of
Like it
them's
didn't
gonna
get
be
mixed
under
up
pressure,
when you
yeah.
went like this. Like it didn't just like kind of fall in with gravity and mix up. But yeah, the so I think because the industry is also, you know, because we're not people who get to chance to use N-butane, of course, then that solves that problem.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's a readily available down at Walmart kind of thing that you can go grab. So for sure, vast majority of people are still using cans, and you know, so that is a sort of sad part of it because of the fact that, you know, like we're trying to be as clean as we can through this whole process, and then at the end we're just kind of like part of the.
I'd agree,
part
and I
of the
think we
problem.
can all move toward N-butane. I mean, I think that's what's definitely coming up.
Definitely,
Yeah.
closed loop systems are the way to go.
Yeah, and it's a future because of the fact that obviously you can control more. What I never understood is why not have a closed, open system where it would be all it is a vessel on the top and a vessel on the bottom, and it's the same size, and you're dropping it through, but you don't necessarily have to release it into the atmosphere. I don't understand why it has to be recycling the actual butane. That's the part that ruins it, is when you recycle butane. It's like anything you recycle, you're obviously going to.
Well, they're putting inline filters in them now, so that decreases that problem quite a bit.
Yeah,
Might even eliminate them.
good. Yeah, because that is also. I mean, to save butane is awesome, but there's no point of recycling it, you know, in my opinion, because you're definitely not adding to the. There's no way you can make it a cleaner product by reintroducing it twice or three times, unless you're.
You can literally filter it though.
Yeah,
You
so
can
that's
like
good.
run it through charcoal filters and basically clean it and use it again.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's good. That's science.
It's coming up. That's what we're all gonna have to do. I mean, that's
Right.
You know, it took me a while to accept that as a reality, but it is going to be the reality in the future that we're all gonna have to be on closed loop systems.
Yeah, well, no, and it would make. I mean, it really makes common sense, obviously,
Yeah.
if you think about it. Just
And then
'cause-
you eliminate your butane cost. I mean, that's awesome. Well, not eliminate it, but greatly decrease it.
right, and well, and also, I mean, safety factor is huge, and that's obviously.
Yes and no. The only professional like lab grade fire that has happened out here in Colorado has been with a closed loop. So,
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
So you still have to, know what you're doing with it and take care of it and maintenance it and service it right. So
Yeah.
that's the only fire that we've had.
And was it
It wasn't a big deal. No, like
no, it, didn't-
other.
it got
yeah.
put out quickly. Yeah.
A couple people had to go to the hospital and have a couple burns, but that's it.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. A couple burns, great.
No, I mean it could be a lot worse, right?
No, of course,
You got to
of
be real
course.
about that.
Of course, yeah, for sure. But I think definitely the closed loop will probably be the new. It will be the new system.
Yeah, it has to be. No two ways
then
about it.
Yeah, and also for regulations and stuff. I mean, I don't see how anybody could not see that as being the obvious future of way. And that's what I tell everybody who is involved in getting into the MIPS game, is that even if you're not going to use it right away, you should probably buy one right away, because you're going to have to get into that learning curve. And
I don't know if you should buy one right away. You should do some research because some of them aren't really going to help you.
Well, no, there's definitely some wrong systems out there
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
I've seen.
yeah.
Uh-huh. But that is also the.
But just a word of advice, like Sub-Zero Extractors, Loose Swan is making some next level shit right now.
Okay, nice
He really
one.
is.
Yeah.
Next level.
And they're going to be here for the champs, any chance?
They're not going to be here for champs now. I mean, he's too busy making them.
Okay, that's good.
He's
where's he
manufacturing
based
a
out
bunch
of
of
Cali,
systems.
or-
Oregon.
Oregon, nice.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to get back to intake, man.
Yes, we will have to get you back.
Definitely.
I will get you a ride back.
Dude, it's pretty exciting today. Like, so far we've only had one entry, but I think everyone's just going to come at once.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, probably while you were gone, a few more came, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's been dropped off.
Nice.
I mean, I kind of wanted to be there because we're doing this new thing where, we're not going to have a number 9. Like, number 9 in NorCal this really horrible entry that shouldn't have been competing with us, and that's why we have the review board now. So I'm
Right.
really curious to see how BHO Johnson, Skipton, and Brutal B are handling it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Definitely.
For sure. Well, thank you for making this show extra special here because you're our first
Thanks for
official
having
guest.
us
You're
on,
our very
man.
first official guest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had an unofficial guest last week, but that
Too
doesn't-
unofficial.
Yeah, too unofficial, but
Super lucky.
doesn't matter. We won't even
Share.
mention. We won't even mention it. You are the official.
The official first guest? Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and also you got a big week. Week.
Tomorrow we release the packs and the judging starts.
Release the packs.
man. Yeah.
Yes.
That's always a lot of fun. It's like Christmas.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you
also,
for having me.
DJ.
Thanks for
And
stopping
we
by.
look forward to seeing your product all over Colorado. You'll be able to sell. You're able to sell everywhere in Colorado, right? Or
Actually, right now I'm just competition based.
oh, you're just in
I
competition base. Okay,
yep.
so you're getting ready though.
Yep, I'm hoping for. I was hoping to open up in the Springs, but they shut it down.
Oh,
so
that's right,
now
you
I got to
said.
remove the business to either like Pueblo or Denver.
Sure. That's the big shimmy shammy now. Everyone's got to move around and figure out where they got to be. But
It's tough.
luckily, the state is. I mean, it's a big state, but it's not the biggest state. Texas would be rough. I mean, you have to do the whole state. You'd be like, man, top
6
bottoms.
hours gets you most almost anywhere in Colorado. From
Yeah,
here.
it's a pretty,
Yeah.
It's square, that's for sure. There ain't any corner, there ain't many nooks and crannies on the edges there. You know, you're in a straight line in every direction. So yeah, but thank you very much for stopping in.
Yeah, it was an honor,
Definitely.
man. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. And what time are we looking at here? How much time we got? 4 minutes left. Awesome.
4 minutes for dabs.
I have. We didn't even take a dab today. Isn't it
Nah,
amazing?
dude.
Wow.
I feel
Dab
weird.
free day.
feel
I should have
weird.
brought some stuff, man, but it was kind of early in the day for it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even have my coffee this morning, so I was a bit out of whack. Dab free. Imagine that. We had Danny D, and we did not do a dab. Well, next time.
That's kind of my thing, man. I'm trying to get Raw Papers to sponsor me, believe it or not, just to give me like huge packs of papers because I like their product anyway. And
love raw.
I get all these like famous hash makers, and
They always wanna
people
give you hash,
involved
and
in
you're
the
like,
scene. I like getting them to smoke joints with me.
nice.
People that are strictly oil, no
Yeah.
flowers. Yeah,
That's good. You got to bring people back to
I'm
earth.
just
a little
reminded
bit.
of the roots. How our ancestors smoked.
Exactly. Well, now you know how our ancestors smoked. They just threw it into the thing and. Like they got inside the sweat lodge and they just threw it on and then boosh, and that's how that was the Scythian way of smoking.
Was that the inspiration for the leaf blower?
Pretty much. We were talking about that last week. I was like, I think I'm just like going back into my Greek ancestry or something, because the Scythians, that's what they would do is just throw their hemp onto the fire and then get inside the sweat lodge and then come laughing, rolling out of it, And I was like, see, they didn't have papers back then. They were like, it was pre-paper and somebody hadn't actually thought about like a pipe. Like, come on, guys, pipes, you remember those things? Somebody, smoked tobacco pipes. I don't know
I
why.
found my old bowl.
But yeah, sounds like a pretty awesome way to get blasted. And I think this week we're going to take it to the next level, aren't we?
Definitely.
E-nails all around.
There's gonna be mad emails.
It's more e-nails in Denver than
blow
ever.
blow out power at the secret house.
Sounds funny. Sounds like a plan.
Need some
Yeah.
bigger breakers.
What's that?
We need bigger breakers. At
We
the secret house.
might. We just
Yeah.
might. I mean, everyone has one now, so.
Except me, man. I'm waiting for one just to fall out of the sky. I'm like, come on now. Are we going to get sponsored by
I
something?
got really lucky. I have the museum piece. I have the first and the number 1 out of 50 from the first run of 50 e-nails that ever existed.
Awesome.
I was
Yeah.
really stoked to get that.
Nice.
It's like I have the first pollinator back in Amsterdam too, the original one. So I was like, kind of like, whoa.
I don't even like bringing that to events anymore,
No, for sure. That's a museum piece, actually.
Might get like a knockoff and just leave that one on the shelf or something.
Yeah, no, it sounds definitely like something you want to put up on the shelf as a collector's piece. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We have our incredible driver James, who will take you back to your event
Thank you, sir.
and keep that rolling.
It's not really an event. I'm just afraid it's going to get crazy if I'm not there. They're already texting
course.
me questions.
Oh, the man is not there. I want to thank everybody for joining us on the second episode of Seedy Weedsday. And thank Flargle for not really coming up with that much news, but a little bit better than last week. I mean, he's
Slowly.
moving ahead. He's slowly bringing it up.
Slowly.
Thank everybody here at iCannabis Radio for helping us out and making this a reality. Anybody out there who wants to sponsor the show can give us a shout or give me a direct link to Seedy Weedsday at is it Seedy Wednesday or Weedsday?
Seedy Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday. It's the old name. Seedy Wednesday at Gmail. And yeah, I'll get you on the show.
You don't want to give all your personal information too to get a hold of you?
Nah, I think too many people know that already. But yeah, thank you everybody, and thanks James for making this thing happen too.
Thank you,
James. Thanks for all those comments over there in the corner.
Yeah.
I was telling him it's kind of like having Jay and Silent Bob because he's just the quietest guy ever. So perfect guy to have on the radio. Never interrupts me ever. Awesome. Yep. Thank you, everybody. And I think are we on the final countdown now? Is this like a 3, 2, 1 thing? 3, 2, 1. See you guys next week.
Adios.
Later.